Yes, welcome everyone to the Timelines Talk Star Trek show with our brand new intro. What did you think of that? Big.
I don't know how to describe it. It's Star Trek as filtered through late '90s ska. It's kind of amazing.
That was fantastic.
Big thanks to our very good friend Big McLarge for providing the lead guitar work on that. We spent some time going through various cuts and takes. Like, we put quite a lot of work into that and ended up coming up with quite a nice little version of the Voyager theme song there that had to sort of rocked up a little bit. Yeah, very happy with that. Thank you everyone for coming to our Star Trek show. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got some latest news and stuff from the world of Star Trek, as well as we're going to be talking a little bit about Star Trek Insurrection. I am joined by my fabulous co-host, the Stars and Garters, and the wonderful person himself, Mr. Shia Bourne. Guys, how are you this evening? I feel it's not been that long since we spoke, because we've talked about the cage the other day, but how are you guys anyway?
Yeah, we sat down for an hour and watched Susan Oliver overact. It was a great time.
Oh, thank you. Cranky.
That's about it. Yeah. Eugene Chafor, everyone.
Eugene Chafor. Chinese cheese.
Greetings for the Regent Qzar.
Yeah, Eugene Chafor. Yes, I remember that bit with where he puts the thing on his head. We'll come to Insurrection in a moment.
You're just bursting at the seams.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, Namer has subscribed as well. I feel sorry for podcast listeners right now, but we'll promise we'll get there.
The eyes just bursting out of the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm glad that you're doing all right, Shy. You look very, very handsome and very chill and very chic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I opted for a more relaxed, non-backlit seating arrangement.
I like the shadow play going on. It gives you a very dramatic look.
That's right. This is my secret Andorian.
Yeah, no, that should be like you can only see the antennae in the shadow, and we're like, wait, it's a secret Andorian all along.
Okay. So, yes, we've got a packed show for you. Service announcement, we should let you know. We have a new series we're starting. We're doing the traditional Trek podcast thing of watching old Star Trek episodes and talking about them. So we've started that, and we've aptly named it, thanks to Shai. Shai actually came up with the name of this one. It's called the Star Trek Trek Show, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I think as soon as you said it, all of us just went, yes, that's what it needs to be called. We are starting with The Cage, which we've already put up on the channel. You can go and watch that on our YouTube. We go through The Cage and talk about it. And I think our plan is we are going to talk about all of the pilots. We're going to go through Encounter at Farpoint next, and the Emissary, and so on and so on. And then we will go over to our subscribers, to our Twitch subscribers, for their channel in the Discord. If you have not connected it and you are a subscriber, you can get involved there. We'll give them the choice of where we go next. So this will be entirely kind of viewer-led, as it were, which is kind of exciting in a way, because we don't know quite where we're going to go. Also, if you are a Twitch subscriber and you have connected your Discord, go over to the exclusive channel that you have, and there's a bonus episode, which is a watch-along of us all watching The Cage, and, going on about Susan Oliver's acting quite a lot. So if you're a subscriber, go over there and watch that. It's a good amount of fun. We do rip that episode quite heavily.
Look, they did. It was the first attempt. We should all be God knows our pilot episode was probably about on the same level.
Yeah, probably. No, it was a very
Apollo. We did First Contact last episode. That's already
actually,
up on the channel. We're going to talk about Insurrection.
And you can catch up on all the old episodes of the Timelines Talk Star Trek show on our YouTube channel if you're not already watching there.
It's true.
All right. Are you ready for some hot Star Trek news and latest developments?
How hot is it? Is it as hot as Shell's warp core?
This has got me pretty excited, to be fair. So this first bit of news has got me pretty excited. So you remember, I think it was a couple of months ago, or maybe a bit longer. Time is an illusion, lunchtime doubly so, where Playmobile, the toy-making company, came up with a Star Trek the Enterprise in a set, and it looked absolutely fantastic, and it was very expensive. Well, they're continuing. Obviously, that sold like gangbusters, and they've carried on, and I'm going to bring it up on screen now. They are now releasing, out of nowhere, a Playmobile Klingon bird of prey. Just look at it. If you can, if you're listening to the podcast, please go and Google this, because it looks epic.
is Playmobil trying to position themselves as the Lego for Star Trek, the Star Trek franchise?
I'm there for
Well,
that.
they're probably trying to replace Eagle Moss at this point, given that they've gone down.
Yes, well,
Hell yes. I mean, to be fair, this bird of prey looks really good. Like, it's a pretty good bird of prey. And they've taken it from the Star Trek 3, from The Search for Spock. So we've got a little Playmobil Kirk, you've got a little Playmobil young Spock, and Playmobil Klingons. Like, I'm excited about this. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, no, the fact that like you can have like, it's so weird to me that there's a Playmobil version of Kirk kicking Cruise into the lava with fiery death.
Yeah. Oh,
That's so
Venomous, thank you for subscribing.
is there an HMS Bounty logo that you can peel and stick
I don't know.
onto
There
the
should
side
be,
of
shouldn't
the?
there? I
yeah,
can't
there
see it on the
should be,
pictures they
shouldn't
put.
there?
Yeah,
You could easily just spray one on. That's so good.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, that's what McCoy did. So
you get Cruise, you get Maltz, you get a Targ, Klingon Gunner, Admiral Kirk, and Mr. Spock. Like, that's just brilliant.
nice.
Unfortunately, it is very expensive. It is more on the £200 to £400 range. It's like,
Oh my god!
yeah, it's
What?
Oh, so I think actually, hang on, it's I think it says in this article, $424 for the Enterprise, and I think this is going to be priced at $300. So, yeah, that's the one
insane.
downside. Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Every time Star Trek merch comes out, I'm always appreciative because it's usually pretty high quality. Like Eagle Moss, people have variable like experiences, but on the whole, I think that like especially for the price point you were paying, you got a really good like product. But let's be real here. Star Trek has always been behind Star Wars in getting in on the merchandising, and it really kind of sucks because Star Trek, if anything, has even more stuff that I want to buy merchandise of. I want to go into Forbidden Planet and buy a Horgon. I want to be able to buy Kirk's phaser rifle from where no man has gone before. I want to go out and grab the Regent Cusa's little bead thing. I want to get all this weird, dumb bullshit, right? I shouldn't have to go onto Etsy or like pay what are those XO6 figures that have been recently released, and they're all really high quality, but they're so expensive. They're on par with like the Hot Toys like level of price point. It's like it comes to the point where I have to be like, going for the old Playmates toys back from the 90s when they actually had consistent merch of different variants, or I have to this is another Eagle Moss product that I was really happy with at a good price point, but that's a rarity when it comes to Star Trek merchandise. And that's why we're talking about an expensive Playmobil thing, because it's one of the few merch out there.
Playmobil,
but you know what?
Sorry, go.
I was just saying, like, that lack of merchandise has, as you say, when you go on Etsy, it has spurred on this whole cottage industry of people making their own costumes and props. And I actually, as a cosplayer myself, I'm a very low-end, just low-cost cosplayer. I appreciate the community of people who make their own props. They make their own phasers. They make their own communicators. They research like the source materials. They 3D print this stuff. So I kind of like what that's spurred on. At the same time, $300 for $300 for a freaking Klingon bird of prey is ridiculous.
Well, the funny thing about that is Playmobil generally in terms of if you're a parent, you look at prices for toys and go, my kid's really into this, but maybe we'll look at the cheap end. And Playmobil generally is on the cheaper end. You can find a lot of details on like a lot of deals on the big pirate ships. Playmobil is actually it's a lot cheaper than Lego. Like a lot of player parents go, get into Playmobil, not Lego. Let's do that instead because it's cheaper. But £300, it is
also less of a choking hazard.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Cranky says, it's good quality too. It's good stuff. My boys have got a load of Playmobil upstairs. It's good stuff. But yeah, £300 is a bit much for. I think it's because it's quite niche. This is a collector's for the fans. Like
no child is buying this. Let's be real. Yeah, no. And Cairo leads me into a really good point. They say what we need is merchandising, and that's the other thing, right? Star Trek Prodigy is out now. There are 10 episodes. It is the Nickelodeon show of Star Trek. I can't buy a Murph plushie. I can't buy a little toy of the little rover. I can't buy a model of the Protostar. I can't buy I have to go to Etsy again. I love the cottage industry. Like I have bought tons of gifts for my friends on Etsy that are all Star Trek themed because it's the only place you can get good Star Trek merch. but it's like I have to go on to Etsy if I want to get a Captain Janeway mug. You know, it's like I shouldn't really have to do this kind of thing. It's like Star Trek is one of the biggest, oldest, most venerated sci-fi nerd things in the entire world, and it's still just like in terms of merchandising. Like I say, when I go to Forbidden Planet, I have to go to one tiny little aisle that they've got, and it's all like variable quality action figures of TOS, TNG, and that's about it. You don't get any DS9. You might get a tiny bit of Voyager. Fuck you if you care about Enterprise. God knows you're not getting any Enterprise. And maybe you'll get one or two Michael Burnham shirts. You know, it's like, come on, guys, step up the merchandising game.
This is definitely a CBS problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want a Murph toy, get some cornstarch, get some water, and some food coloring, and make your Murph toy. Throw a little glitter in there. You're done.
Make your own. Make your own Murph. Meom. Make your own Murph.
Yeah. It's on Nickelodeon, right? Isn't that the outlet for Star Trek Prodigy?
Yeah.
If anyone should have a slime-based toy, it should be a Nickelodeon.
It's true. It's true.
Dead on.
It's shameful.
God damn it.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, you know, is Blue Peter still going? I don't know. You would know. You've got kids.
Idea. Probably. I don't know.
Blue Peter should be telling me how to do how to do a Murph toy.
No, you're a bit younger than me, so I did that. I was in the generation when the Thunderbirds came back. And they had the whole Blue Peter make it out of paper mache. And me and my dad started to do that with the Blue Peter things. I was big into Thunderbirds then, which is an awesome show. Go watch Thunderbirds. It's still good.
I love Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds
and
so
we
good.
started making it, got about halfway through and went, nah, this is shit. He just took me to Toys R Us and bought me this. Like, we can't do this. It's too much effort. Let's just go and buy it.
No, see, what you needed was my granddad, who was so handy that he built me a little parking garage, just like himself. He's incredibly handy.
Oh, wow.
You know, he's like 90 now, so like he's of the generation, and like he has that kind of craft. Trekkie, please tell me you know what Thunderbirds is.
He's about 14. Don't worry.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
If you've seen
Captain
Team
Scott
America,
as well.
Yeah.
If you've seen Team America World Force, it's that style of animation for Thunderbirds.
No, Thunderbirds is generally great. Like the effort they put in, it's like Thomas the Tank Engine as well. Like the original one before they went CG. Like the amount of effort they put into the model work, getting the steam coming out, and all the puppetry that went into Thunderbirds. It's absolutely fantastic. Like for just if you want to watch something that's a great just production, don't mind the story or like the. We're under attack. We need to go and save Marina. You know.
Oh yeah, no. The story is absolute garbage. But like, if you enjoy just like a little bit of like low-level spy espionage with some fun puppetry and some amazing model work, go and watch Thunderbirds. Do not watch the movie, even though it's directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Oh yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, wait,
that's what killed his directing career. Like he did Insurrection, and then the next thing he did, I'm pretty sure, was like Clock Stoppers, which I've known. I think that's like a kid's thing. And then he did the Thunderbirds 2004 movie. And
I forgot that existed.
Yeah, that fits into the theme of today's show, where you don't have to watch everything that Jonathan Frakes directs. But we'll get to that later.
Oh,
I think we're gonna have
come
some contesting going on here.
At least Insurrection didn't have a theme song done by Busted, okay?
Hey, what's wrong with Busted? Oh wait, no, which was the good one? Was it Busted and McFly? McFly ended up being actually...
McFly's actually pretty good.
McFly's pretty good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so, bringing it back around.
It's a tangent, sorry.
Hey, we kept on theme. Playmobil to Thunderbirds, it's a good link. But, so, what else happened? Since the last time we did the Star Trek show, we had Star Trek Day. So we were going to stream and watch Star Trek Day together, but we didn't in the end, and I ended up watching all of it. And, cool. The things they revealed were pretty cool, and we'll talk about some of them overall. But did you guys watch the actual stream?
Dude, I can't watch any more of these. I can't watch these corporate streams anymore. They're just too much cringe. And from what you guys were telling me about the production, this would have been even more so. And like,
it was
what you told me.
Like
I completely missed it.
I've worked on stage. Like I've done I've been stage manager for various things, and my time in the theatre.
I know. Tell us, Idol. Tell us of your life in the theatre.
But anyway, at every point during this production, I'm just going, what are they doing? They had, was it Reggie someone? I forget his name.
Reggie Yates.
Reggie Yates on being kind of the compere, the guy that's supposed to introduce everyone, but he was playing beats on his thing. I've been told by reliable sources he's actually great, but he was fucking terrible during this. And he was playing these beats and making some bad jokes, wearing a Star Trek shirt, fair enough, he might be a genuine fan, but and then as he's playing these beats, a theme song of Star Trek will come on in the background completely out of time. You just go to the stage, which would be so badly lit, it would just be a couple of par cans, a couple of white lights, no colour, nothing else. And then Frank, Mariner's voice actress,
Tawny Newsome
and Tom F. Tompkins came out, and they were great. They were actually generally good, because the previous year we had God, what's going on in my head today? Who's the usual host? Oh, Will Wheaton and LeVar Burton's daughter. We used to be the hosts, didn't they? But they scrapped that and brought Tawny Newsome and Tom Tomlinson, and they were a great pair. They're really good. Like they had good chemistry together because they do the Star Trek podcast together. They're good friends. Obviously, they do Lower Decks together as well. They had some good chemistry, but the whole thing felt so amateurish. Like there was just these weird pauses, there was just really bad lighting, there was just at one point Alex Kurtzman came out, and good on him for being there, but he read like a scripted statement and then walked off, and I was like, hang on, this is the guy that should be part of this. But Reggie Watts, thank you, Cranky. There you go. Reggie Yates, isn't that like Cassidy Yates' brother or something? Possibly.
No, isn't he one of the actors for Hollyoaks?
Very possibly. Yeah. Anyway, but the whole thing was really bad.
Youth culture.
The whole thing was really bad, really poorly put on, and it felt like it was being done in a warehouse in the middle of New York somewhere, or some of the cheapest venue, the Four Seasons of warehouses, as it were. But
bold of you to assume it wasn't.
Well, exactly, and the whole thing, it was just for what I expected from a grand festival of Star Trek. Because the previous years they've done it online, haven't they? They've had and that generally worked out quite. Through COVID, they did it online and had scripted parts going, and that's fine. That generally worked. But it seems like now they've gone back to live again. They've not really looked at any of the other productions, like the Star Wars Day productions, or any of E3 or any kind of the big things that go on and go, all right, this is how we need to manage it. It seems like whoever they hired to be the producer or the stage manager of the production just was real cheap. Was real cheap or real inexperienced, because I'm watching this as a Star Trek fan kind of going, this should be your celebration, but it's so shit. There was one point I acutely remember. It was when our two co-hosts are on stage, and they're going over the merch. They're saying, this is all this cool merch that's coming out, and it's not really that cool. It's like a bag and a Nerf gun. And they're looking over them like, let's get the associate producer out to come and talk about it. And Paul F. Tompkins, I forget his name now. Paul goes off stage, picks up a woman who is behind the scenes, brings her on stage, and I genuinely can't tell if that was a scripted, because she stands on stage, is really nervous, is really awkwardly kind of going, yes, that's our Nerf gun, and this is a thing, and she's really awkward, and I can't tell whether that was a bit or whether she was generally had stage fright, because she looked like she had just gone white and did not want to move from her seat. It was really weird. But this illustrates your point, Stars and Shine, what you're saying about yes, the puking girl namer. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yes. Yeah, no, it's Reggie that picks him up, isn't it? It picks her up. That's right. It illustrates the point that CBS don't really care about anything other than the programs. They put big money into the show, which is great. Discovery, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks.
They'll throw millions at a single episode of Strange New Worlds, but Star Trek Day.
Any of the promotion, any of the merchandising, anything around the edges, they just do not want to touch, or they don't want to give the budget that it should be given to kind of build this fan base up more, really get some enthusiasm, that people will just tune and go, oh wow, maybe there's something behind this, maybe I'll watch it. Rather than you watch this production, you kind of go, it's a bit high school.
Anyway, to be fair, Star Trek does have a long history of being kept alive by a long, fervent fan base that will put up with even season 3 of Star Trek TOS. So maybe they're just kind of used to not
Wait a minute. Hold on. How dare you?
Brain. What is brain? Anyway,
it's not that bad. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's a much maligned episode.
Oh no! Apparently, Cranky says that at one point Tawny was looking at the camera saying, "Can you please move the auto cue faster? I have no idea what's happening and what's next."
She did stand on stage, and just they kind of her and Paul just sort of looked at each other and just kind of, we need to improv something because we don't know what we're doing. They're waiting for the cast of Picard in the background to get ready, and they're just like, we've got you fill 2 minutes, and they're just like, that.
Are we sure this wasn't like meta comedy? Because Paul F. Tompkins is famously the host of the old Comedy Bang Bang podcast. Which
I've heard
like
good things about that. I
Yeah,
don't
which
know.
is
It didn't feel like that. It didn't. Like, it seemed... It was very strange. Like all the in-between moments, when they were actually showing stuff off or when they were interviewing cast and crew, was absolutely fine. But like the whole transitional periods and the bits in between and everything, yeah.
Kyra says that since the CBS Viacom merge, they've had to create a whole new marketing department in New York. Then newbies without much clue in its shows. Well, in which case we can only hope that they'll get better.
I guess I should check my LinkedIn. Maybe I should go.
You know what? I mean,
update my LinkedIn profile here.
Get in there. Get
you
shy.
worked on Star Trek fan projects. Why not? Get in there. Get us the hot new scoops. But hey. In the end, that's just like, however long it was, like the 2 hours of people, of talking heads. We don't really care about the talking heads. What we care about was what they showed. And what they showed was actually pretty fucking cool, right?
It was really cool. Yeah. So, we'll go over to this point. So, one of the things that was revealed as well, they showed us a shot of, which I won't show here because I'll try and keep visual spoilers out of the way, because I know people are sensitive about that. They showed off a shot of Burnham in season 5 of Disco and just got excited. And I think there was an announcement recently that the writing has now finished for season 5 of Discovery because they're midway through filming. My question to you guys is, what do you think the storyline of season 5 of Discovery is going to be? Where are they going to take this series in Discovery in the 32nd century?
All right, Buck Rogers. I mean, I'm really happy with the fact that Discovery is kind of, as it's going on, becoming more and more of a deconstruction, reconstruction of the Federation and what it means and what it's about. Because season 1, and a lot of that is kind of retroactively putting the pieces back together. Because we know for a fact they didn't have a consistent plan from season 1 to 2 to 3, and now it's getting a bit more of a consistent plan.
Seasons 3,
looking
4,
at
and
now,
5 have all had Michelle Paradise as pretty much showrunner. I think 3 was associate producer, but then 4 for 5 she is now full on producer of the series.
I would love for them just to do some world building in the 32nd century.
Absolutely. I want some lore.
It's great. I mean, I love seeing the new tech and the new worlds, and just rebuilding the Federation is a fine show premise. So stick with that.
And it's a really a fertile ground to do tons of spin-offs if they so choose. There have been rumors that Star Trek Academy show that they were talking about for a while might actually be taking form with maybe Mary Wiseman as one of the leads. That'd be really interesting. Actually, I'd be way more invested in that than the initial idea of let's do a CW Star Trek show. No, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this.
They basically backdoor piloted that during Discovery season 4. They had a Mary Wiseman and Cadets episode.
Yeah. And it's I appreciate, because especially if you go back and watch early Star Trek, say TOS and then early TNG, where they hadn't quite worked out what the Federation was, where Kirk is talking about the United Earth Space Probe Agency and all this, and the Starfleet. You have no idea what it really is about, and it's sort of come together in bits and pieces, and then every now and then you go, oh hey, that's the Federation president. We've seen 2 of them.
Yeah.
In 60 years, we've seen 2 of them over the entire thing, and that's 3, we know, surprise, 3?
3. We've said 3.
Ragotre, and now...
Oh, I forgot,
And the guy from RoboCop.
I literally forgot about the guy from season 4 of DS9. I forgot about him, because he's so memorable.
Or was she just... UFP president? I don't think they gave her a name, did they?
The boss.
She's not president of the Federation, I guess. So.
Yeah, president of Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
But it's surprisingly little about how the Federation actually works, and that's part of what people appreciate about Lower Decks, is you get to see more of what Starfleet and the Federation is like as an actual culture, so that it's not just, hey, we all watch movies and do holodeck programs and stuff from the 1930s on Earth. No, there's Klingon acid punk. You can go and experience this whole wide gamut of alien culture, and it's a big multicultural. Everyone can do anything they want, and it's that freedom. And Discovery talking about the reconstruction of that reopening of borders and learning to trust each other again. That's a really cool meta narrative. and if they can just keep on going in and on with that, I'm down for that. That's such a smarter way to do it than what they were doing with season 1, where it's like it just felt like they're kind of spinning their wheels a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of open questions about 36. One thing that it kind of irritates me about the 3rd and 4th series is like, I just need those little details. Where are the Klingons? What's the Dominion doing? Like, where with the Kazon were on that map they showed in the open of season 3. What's going on? I would just like a few little, even if they do it sort of off screen with like one, because they've been doing like personal logs with like people like Linus and Tilly. They'll go on like Instagram and they'll have like an actual permanent log. I encountered the Kazon today. They joined the Federation 15 years ago. You know, a little thing like that, just so we can get a few months in. Especially the lies. Thank you for subscribing, Garrick. We love you.
Did they? Did they
Did
have a foundling in? Did they have a changeling
yes.
in season 4? They did, right?
Yeah,
Just like as a throwaway appearance.
There was
That's
very
cool.
one shapeshifter turned up in about. By the way, season 4 spoilers are off at this point. If you haven't seen season 4, go watch it.
Yeah, get over it. Yeah.
It's been a while.
I haven't seen it, and I'm just kind of like accepting the point that's like, and not mention that's cool. That means I'll be watching for that instead of thing like that. And so I feel like that's a cool way to do it. It's just like. Yeah, it's the same approach that they had with TNG, where it's like, hey, look, that's Worf. He's on the bridge. He's a Klingon. Deal with it. And then it's just like, then you work backwards from that point, and then you can dive into those characters and fill them in later. But yeah, no, it's tricky. That's fine.
I hope season 5 of Disco references every reference in Lower Decks, like somewhere in the like every single reference is just somewhere in the background, like some little like DJ O'Connor like music disco.
No, you know what I want? I want Burnham to get hit with an explosion and get like fall unconscious for a moment, because that happens in every season. I feel like there's something that knocks her unconscious, and she wakes up and does the which I feel that's a direction point of this thing. I don't think that's on Sneak or Marking Green, and then she just goes, "I saw a koala." And that's all I want. I want a koala reference in one of the live-action Treks. I don't care which one it is. Like, someone needs to have a near-death experience and see the koala. That's all I need.
You know how some TV series like Buffy, they had the musical episode, or like Fringe, they had the entire. They had like what's his name, the mad scientist, and that he did too much LSD, and they had a whole black and white noir episode. I would love
the cartoon episode.
Yeah. I'd love like Burnham to get knocked unconscious and then wake up and she's a Lower Decks character. Like they just had the whole episode animated Lower Deck style.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the one thing that Discovery is kind of missing, is that it's missing like a really silly episode. Like the closest we've gotten is the Time Loop Mud episode, I feel like, in terms of like actual just raw silliness. And we're gonna get into this with Insurrection, where it's like Star Trek always has been, is, and always should be silly on some level. Like even like Wrath of Khan, on some levels it's kind of silly in some ways.
What?
Because you've got to in some ways you've got to admit it's kind of goofy. Sorry, but guess what? That's good. It's good to be silly, because that means that you're not taking yourself completely seriously. You don't fall down the Battlestar Galactica hole of like everyone's really miserable for 4 seasons and then it ends with all on the Watchtower.
I love
that. There always has to be one. Yeah, I know, but it's like it's so po-faced. That's why I could never get into Battlestar Galactica, like the reboot. Anyway, we don't talk about the reboot.
Hey, that's 2.5 seasons of good television. The new Battlestar
Galactica. I was huge into the new Battlestar Galactica. Like I'm the big apologist really for season 4, but yeah.
But you have to admit, it's really serious, isn't it? Like,
absolutely.
You have humor, but it's not a fun show. It's not something you kick back and you watch with the kids, is it? And it's like, I kind of think that's kind of an element that should be part of Star Trek. You should really be able to watch it with your kids to some degree. That's like kind of the vision I have for that universe. It's like that all varied. Like, Big has mentioned that Discovery Season 1, because it went all in on kind of the body horror and sex in some ways, that it couldn't really do that. But anyway, Star Trek should be silly, and Discovery should lean into its silly thing, especially because you've got a lot of good comedic talent on that cast. Use them. Like, whenever they get a chance to do humor, they do humor really well.
I think there was something I was reading the other day. Like it was a critique of the Marvel films, like the newer ones compared to the older Marvel films. Is that the older Marvel films, like the Avengers and like Captain America, like they used humor balanced, but something like Love and Thunder is very much humor in your face. And I think a lot of people are just saying, yeah, it's great to have something silly as long as it doesn't overshadow the moment. Like there's, jokes that are made between Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff in the moment. Like they have this joke that make you laugh and then you're straight back in there. Whereas like something like Love and Thunder, which was, divided. I didn't mind it. I've watched it now, by the way. I finally watched it. It was very much like, here's the joke, and that's the entire moment, and you shall laugh now. And I think it's something directed, and I think Star Trek has previously balanced that quite well with episodes like Cupid, where I'm just very much like, you have these stakes, but it is goofy fun.
Well, as your countryman George Bernard Shaw said, if you're going to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh, or else they'll kill you. So you have to have that balance, right?
Yeah,
Stars,
and it's especially
who's George Bernard Shaw?
Oh my God!
He's a playwright.
Okay, right.
Don't you remember him from your years in the theater?
I do not know. We did productions of ABBA, darling.
I think especially with Star Trek, it's really important to be silly because when you think about it, the Federation is a post-apocalyptic society.
It is now.
We nuked ourselves into oblivion. Now, that's what I really appreciate that Strangely Worlds kind of kicked off with and said, guys, remember, this is where this universe starts, actually. And then you have to pull back from the brink and recontextualize and realize what's really important. And you need levity for that. Good God, you need levity. And it's like, let them be silly. And you know what? Just for the fun of it, let's lower the stakes a little bit. That's something I appreciate about the season 3 of Discovery. Actually, I haven't seen season 4, so I can't really comment how much it is. But in season 3, the stakes were, oh no, Federation headquarters might get blown up. That could happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is the 32nd century. That could happen. But it's like in season 1 where they're like, oh, well, if we don't destroy the ISS Sharon and the mycelial network goes down, the entire multiverse. It's like, that ain't going to happen because you've got other shows in the mix. That's not going to happen. You got to have our stakes properly established.
So, what I will say for season 4, what I will say for season 4 is like, it gets a lot of slack for being like, people see the trailers like, oh, it's a world universe-ending threat, and yes, it is for a little bit of that, but it has a lot more nuance. There is a lot more about how it resolves that implies that it isn't like that. I think it turns the whole, there is a threat to the entirety of the Federation on its head a little bit with how it resolves in the end. So just like my little Discovery season 4 not apology. I'm not going to apologize for it. It was good. It resolved in its way in a very, I'm going to say in a very motion picture way, which is probably going to make people go, oh no.
I don't understand this complaint about the giant threats in every season. Like, what do you want? Do you want just like
also
a show?
There kind of hasn't been because season 1 there wasn't really a giant threat. There was the war with the Klingons and there was the mirror universe.
Well, no, there was because they escalated from the mycelial network could wipe out
but that was season 2.
like a certain thing. No, that was season 1.
Was it?
Because that was the reason why the Discovery had to destroy the Sharon, because like if it kept on feeding negative energy or whatever, it would destroy the multiverse. And the moment they said that line, that was when that's the tipping point.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that bit.
And then season 2, it's, okay, we're going to lose all sentient life in the galaxy to control. And then that's why I appreciated in season 3, they scale it back a little bit. Like, you don't need, I'm not saying go for small scale threats. Like, it's not like the end of, what's the large scale threat at the end of season 2 of TNG? Oh no, Riker's leg got hit with a fucking plant.
Right. That and now he's extenuating circumstances because there was no one available to write at all.
Yes, exactly.
They couldn't really do a cliffhanger.
It's hard to believe that people are complaining about stakes. Oh no, our show has stakes. No. Sorry.
Yeah, I do get the comment. Like Akira says, whole galaxy be in peril. Only Michael Burnham can save it. There is a little bit of this show is Star Trek Burnham. It is, and there are times when they do go over the top with, oh, Burnham's the one that can save it or can do it, and they do acknowledge that a little bit in the episode, and they do sort of call her out on her, especially her mother in season 3, just like, you always got to be the one that saves the universe. She basically calls her shit, and I love that moment. But I can appreciate the criticism there, but it's Star Trek.
That might be one of my favorite Burnham moments in season 3, when Gabrielle just calls her out on her bullshit, and she just turns around like, what the fuck is this friendly fire? I forget the name of the actress for her mother, but they have really good interplay. They're really good together.
Yeah, that's why you hire an actor from The Wire.
Yeah,
it's true.
What the show needs? An actor from The Wire. It needs jokes and an actor from The Wire. That's all you need.
It's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Write that down, CBS, for your next series. See who's still around for The Wire and get them on board. Okay, moving on, because we've gone on for that too long. The Star Trek Lower Decks, I don't usually talk about comics on this, but the Star Trek Lower Decks comic is out, and I've actually read it. It's absolutely fantastic. For any, there have been Star Trek comics since the 70s. Like, they've been going for years and years and years, and kind of most of them are kind of like, you'd read it if you're sort of the hardcore fan. Lower Decks is the most applicable series to make into a comic because it just directly translates so easily. And the one they've done is just... It's worth a read. I think they end up going into the holodeck and redoing. They fight over which kind of holodeck recreation they're going to do, and they end up settling on Data's one from Sherlock Holmes one, where Mariner is Sherlock Holmes, and she comes up with the idea of like, what happened when Data, he made an opponent to, that could rival Data, and the computer's like, no, we can't do that, and she goes, what about an opponent that could rival the opponent that could rival Data, and then the computer starts processing, and then it turns out it's Dracula.
That's great.
Yeah, and
that's
fantastic.
Speaking of which, that reminds me of that bit in Prodigy when hologram Janeway is showing the crew all the various different things that holodeck can do, of like, look, you can go to Andorra, you can go to skydiving on SETI Alpha 6, you can do this, you can do that. And it's like, do you want to lock horns with Dracula? And it's like, I want to see that. I want to see someone fight Dracula in Star Trek. That sounds hype.
Devil's Due nearly happened. Oh, it was the Devil, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the Devil.
Yeah, that was Devil's Due. Closest one we've kind of gotten is the Man Trap with Soul Vampire. It's kind of close, but no, I want proper vampires. I want Castlevania vampires.
Wow. Yeah, that movie's called Life Force. Came out in the 80s. Had a lot of...
Did it have Blade in it?
I mean... Wow, I'm really old. No one got my Life Force reference. That's fine.
No,
that's fine.
Sorry.
Wow.
I'll add it to the list. Go check that out. It's worth a read. I think that's if you're gonna read any Star Trek novel or comic that makes the most sense, and you can't dispute whether it's canon or not, and who cares because it's Lower Decks, read that one. That's the best one. Speaking of
Chucky for life, instantly they're asking what my shirt says. It says, I have 99 problems, but a warp core breach ain't one.
And for podcast listeners, there's a picture of Geordie LaForge on it.
Damn right.
Okay.
And yet, ironically, it was his. It wasn't one of his problems in Generations.
Well, not until until
constantly.
Generations. Old cast coming onto new projects. Would you like to know how Will Wheaton is coming back to Star Trek again? And this not involves a season. It doesn't involve Picard. He has now been cast in Star Trek Online as the Terran Emperor. So for people wondering, there was a whole fan community kind of going around. The Mirror Universe story in Star Trek Online has been a big part of it, and there's sort of been a bit of dynamics between Killy and Lita and things like that. But they've never revealed who the Terran Emperor was. And if you're interested, I've been doing a playthrough of all of Star Trek Online on the channel. So go and watch that if you're interested. But yes, they announced that in the new arc, the Terran Emperor won't be Jean-Luc Picard, who everyone thought, yes, or another version of Janeway. No. Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher is the Emperor in Star Trek Online.
Will Wheaton himself.
That's amazing. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so just to subvert expectations. And yeah, so we played it through the other day, and his face is all over it. Like, we was loading up the game, waiting for it to patch the other day, and it was just like, there's Wesley's face, and here's Wesley's face. If you're not a Wesley fan...
Does he have the beard?
He has the beard, yes. Yeah, this is...
kind of mandatory at this point, right?
Mirror Universe, yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And it's not, because Mirror Wesley has been done before in the comics. So for the comics where you had...
Yeah, with the ridiculous blue mohawk.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, yeah, because, you've got hench Jean-Luc Picard in the tank top and muscled up with a goatee, and, like, weird sort of Riker with, like, only one eye, and Dominatrix Troy. But Wesley was in there with, like, spiky hair, being all edgy, like something from a Disturbed video, or, like, the guitarist from some new metal band.
Does he have his traveler powers? Powers?
Well, not in the comics, but I don't know if he does that might be why he's the Emperor of...
That's what I mean. Like, that would make sense for him to, like...
Well, I think the real reason that Idol is interested in this is that not only I think he might have traveler powers, but I think there's something else very celestial and grand in the power order that is going on. Oh, there's an automaton.
Hey, we've got an auto. Maybe he might be here. Here he is.
He's eating crisps.
Hey, buddy. Enjoyed it?
I don't think I'm going to have time to do the show, but I just wanted to pop in.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Thanks,
We were just
we
talking about
appreciate
Will
you.
Wheaton. But
You
no,
mean Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton, who is now the Terran Emperor in Star Trek Online.
Really?
Yep.
That's the reaction we want. That's the color commentary.
Okay. Moving on. Star Trek Online. Go. I'll get there. I haven't got to that storyline yet. Oh, actually, what you were talking about, Stars. Yes. Vija's in part of it with Ilea. Well, I'm quite excited to get up to that point. I don't know how Mira Wesley and Vija interact, but as always with Star Trek Online, it's probably going to be batshit insane. Okay.
I mean, if I had a choice between hanging out with Mira Wesley Crusher and Will Decker, I'd probably pick Mira Wesley Crusher too.
The less said about Will Decker, the better. Okay, this
So
one's for go on.
One quick thing. I've never played Star Trek Online. So is it like there's a collection of cutscenes that sort of tell the arc story? So
yeah,
I
there's
could
a
go
whole
on
arc, there's a
YouTube
whole
and
set of stories.
Someone's cut them together so I could just watch this storyline cut together
Yeah,
on YouTube.
probably.
They do it for other video games, so I didn't know if they did it for this one.
Yeah, some of the stories are actually really good. They go into a lot of like Voyager, like racist backstories, like the Voth and things like that. It's they've done some good. They've done some bad work, but they've also done some good work. So this
Auto chat wants to know what types of potato chips you're eating.
Okay, what we got? Ready solid, salt and vinegar.
Wait, are we live? What?
Like comedy.
Oh, I'm in Central Time Zone. I'm off by an hour. Sorry, guys. I thought you guys were doing the pre-show. Then I'm like, wait, they're actually talking about.
No.
I thought this was your bit. I thought you were eating crisp as a bit.
We've been talking about this for a while. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, no, we crack wires like this all the time, buddy.
Sorry, guys.
As I usually do.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna go watch some chat now that I know you're live.
No.
This fucking guy.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Best drop-in ever. All right, this one's for you, Shai. So, Nicholas Meyer, your favourite director, producer of the Star Trek films, came on stage and he came to announce he was doing a new project with Star Trek, one involving Khan. And there has been long rumours that they were going to develop a Khan series. A lot of people kind of went, do we need this? Based on SETI Alpha 5. He came out to reveal that actually, and this had been heavily rumoured at this point, that actually it's going to be a podcast series. So there's going to be a podcast series directed by Nicholas Meyer about the life on Khan on SETI Alpha 5. And actually, I kind of think that's the better way of doing it. Because they've done some audio dramas. There was the Seven Raffi audio drama, No Man's Land, which came out, which was pretty well received. And I think sort of going down that route kind of makes a lot more sense for some of these sort of auxiliary stories, is what I would say. But what were your reactions to that?
Well, I mean, I had heard the rumors of the podcast for a while. I mean, it's sort of he's been talking about it, I think, for a lot of this year. I don't know if he had started talking about it last year. I even tried to slide into his DMs on Twitter to try to get on. I
can do a pretty decent Joachim.
I was like, why not? I'll see if I can get involved as a writer on this series. I mean, I would have loved to have seen this developed as a television series, but I'll take a podcast series. I'll take a radio drama. You know, I love the Dark Eyes, Doctor Who, radio
the Doctor
dramas.
Who Big Finish stuff is unparalleled. That is the ultimate best way of continuing anything. They've been so good.
Yeah, it's a great way when you don't have the budget to just go ahead and get your storytelling out there. Nicholas Meyer is a consummate storyteller, so I would love it if they would. You know, this is just my own concept, is that you make it sort of a lost flashback series where half of it is in the modern times when he's first exiled to SETI Alpha 5, and then half of it is flashing back to a period piece in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Oh wow!
Leading up to the genetics to the eugenics, right?
That'd
like
be great.
show.
That would be really good.
Is this your way of getting a musical interlude where, like, you've got Boogie Nights playing while Khan is taking over the world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's sort of 80s, like 80s music. Like everyone, Tears for Fears. Everyone wants to rule the world.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But it would be through like 80s, like period sci-fi, like genetic engineering, building the augments through the 70s.
That's one of the
80s.
great unknowns about, because that's kind of the birth of sort of like the Federation's principles were on the back of the eugenics wars and World War III. And, they're very anti-eugenics because of things like Khan. And that's been a big part of their history that's never really been explored. We never know much about what the eugenics wars entailed. And the one chance to get it was in the Voyager episode, and they just went to San Francisco instead and commented on the nice legs and shoulder pads.
You gotta have it be like some cool shadow war happening behind the scenes.
There were some books about that. I think Greg Cox wrote about a 3-part series to Reign in Hell, or was it Reign in Hell? I think something like that.
Yeah, To Reign in Hell.
Yeah, they were quite good, but it involved Gary.
Of course, there
Seven
has to be a Milton quote.
Yeah, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Yeah, I think like doing this sort of Big Finish-esque approach for these other stories would be a really good idea, because like there's a reason, like if you're not a Doctor Who fan and aren't aware, that Big Finish got some of the old Doctors from the previous series. There we go. From the previous series, like Sylvester McCoy and Tom Baker and everyone, and even Paul McGann, who only had the one telemovie, and just got them to do dramas, not audiobooks, actual full-on dramas with the Doctor Who license, and just really fantastic. And there's a reason they've done like about 1,500 of them, because they're easy to produce. They're easy to get a script together, produce, and bash them out. There's no visual effects. There's no there's no running order or anything. You just get it, schedule it, release it. I think for Star Trek that would be an amazing idea, because a lot of the actors would love to do it. They'd love to come back and just do voice work, like I'm sure a lot of Enterprise cast.
It's so much easier than having, especially if you're in makeup all the time. It's so much easier to have to just do reprisal through voice work.
Like, Tom Baker is still doing it. He is still releasing Doctor Who audio dramas well into I think he's in his 80s, 70s, 80s now. Like he's still doing it, and he's still got the enthusiasm.
His voiceover work is excellent. Yeah,
exactly. And my question to you guys is, aside from Khan, what kind of era would you like to see, or what kind of stories would you like to see as an audiobook? And actually, I think I know what yours might be, Shy.
You mean because of what I just said, or
no? I was thinking you might go for a Sulu series.
Oh yeah. No,
the Lost Sulu sort of series that
I've
never
mentioned
aired.
before that I was developing a Star Trek fan series before the fan film bottom fell out of the fan film world. Sulu on the Excelsior. That's a great unexplored era. Just steal the music from the end of Star Trek 6, the credits music, and make that theme music. Completely works.
He's not wrong. Yeah, no, like the Lost era is very easily done with that. My personal pick would be, because it's either an animated series or this Enterprise season 5. I want to see the Romulan War. That'd be a really easy one to spin off into a multi-season podcast of just really high production audio dramas. Like, guess what? If you can't tempt Jolene Blalock to come back because of how bad she was treated, just go, hey, you don't even have to leave your house. Just send us the WAV files with a good microphone. We'll edit it in, we'll do it, and we'll just take care of it. And it's like, guess what? That could do a lot. I would listen to that. I would actually honestly listen to that. Even if they could only get back some of the cast, I'd still give it a good shot.
There's a market for that. There is definitely a market for sort of like audio dramas in the Star Trek world, and they could just do them so easily and so well. Like, it's untapped, and people love podcasts. Is the huge generational boom from like 2010 till now is like people listening to things in the car, on the bus, on the road, or just sitting playing games, like a simple game, like something they can just plod along and have a podcast in the background. Like it's a very narrow thing, and I travel a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm very excited to have more of that.
There are a bunch of Star Trek fan podcast audio stories. Ironically, there is a Star Trek Excelsior that has nothing to do with Sulu. It's just like the next generation Excelsior podcast. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, it's the same kind of appeal that like a tabletop campaign has, where it's like all you need is theater of the mind. Like you can just go nuts and just like let the audience imagination fill in for all the special effects that you can't afford, and with the with a good script that you can spend all the time you want in the world to just refine it and polish it, and you're not stuck to a TV production schedule. You don't have to people can take as much time as they want to learn their lines and get the good reads, and you get all the right takes that you want. Like, you can come up with a really high polished, sorry, that's what I meant to say, production. And it's like, it's a really good way of covering stuff that otherwise people don't think is like, going to fill out an entire show or would be too hard to do a show for. Like, I remember that was the original premise for Star Trek Discovery, was an anthology series, and they were like, you can't do that, it's just too expensive to constantly change crew and bridge, and like you have to have standing sets, and there's only so much we can do really wrestling. You can't do an anthology series like this. You probably could with animation, but even then probably be expensive.
Yeah,
podcast is a good format.
Tabletop campaigns actually do need to have amazing production value, costumes and paper props.
I don't know what you mean.
You're talking about. I don't know how you play tabletop campaigns.
All right.
Yeah, no, I would never be involved in something like that. I'm so cheap, and all my players are just they would never go above and beyond.
Yes, your check is in the mail. Okay, one point of product placement they have done. A little bit of a was it merchandising they have done lately.
Merchandising.
They did reveal on the very beleaguered Star Trek Day stream was the introduction of Star Trek Next Generation Nerf phaser rifles, which I think makes the most amount of sense. Where this came from, I don't know who suggested this. Absolutely mad, but they're amazing. You can get yourself a phaser rifle and the handheld one as well, and I think that's absolutely a fantastic idea. I kind of want one. I don't know if it says about the pricing. No, I don't think it does.
How much are they?
Oh,
so the phasers sold together $119.
They look good though.
They do look good. Good for Nerf.
And Nerf is expensive, actually. That's the thing. Like,
I don't
like
know
some
the
of the more
prices.
high-end Nerf stuff can be expensive.
what is this from a movie? Which movie are these?
This is First Contact design.
This is the first contact
design.
one. Okay.
I don't know what the Borg
Yeah.
stuff's about, but I think that might be a bit embellished. But yeah, I mean, like, Nerf or not, you want a phaser rifle. Like, I imagine you can easily spray that into like something a bit more canon. Or something about, you can easily.
There's a whole like replica props world of repainting Nerf franchise toys.
Oh wow!
Like
What
all
did I
the
see?
Star Wars Nerf guns. I've done it myself. You do all this dry brushing on them to make them look metallic.
Oh, I love
works really well.
When you talk
Yeah.
about dry brushing, I love a good bit of dry brushing.
Don't we all?
You get that metallic paint on? Yeah, lovely. But no, I was looking through my... we get the toy catalogue through every now and then, looking through. My sons like to look through and go, I want this. And I was just like, yeah, right, get a job.
You wish.
But one of the... they have a
Until
whole-
you're 30, and then you can indulge your childhood desires.
Yeah.
It's like everyone else does.
But there was a whole page of Nerf stuff, and on there I actually genuinely saw what I thought was the chain gun from Predator. It was like a flicking helicopter chain gun for Nerf. I just looked at that and kind of
They
went,
have it.
I want that. I genuinely want
Now I'm picturing like a kid with like the face makeup, like, I let off 1,000 rounds with the Nerf minigun. Hit nothing.
that. Nothing.
Oh
But
dear.
yeah, you,
I mean, it
very-
does make sense, and they picked the right phaser design because that is, I think, the coolest phaser rifle design.
Yeah, and
the one
handheld
from
as well. They didn't
Yeah,
go
the
for the classic
Sword stuff is
TOS one,
terrible.
did they?
No, they've never done the classic TOS one. You can buy those just from Ruby's, like Halloween costumes.
Oh wow.
Pretty cheap. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I mean, like, the Discovery ones are okay, but they haven't got quite the iconic silhouette.
I couldn't tell you what they look like. That's the thing. Like, I suppose we've grown up with this. But oh, nice. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
that's classic.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, just needs
You
a
know
bit
what?
paint.
Let me ask you guys: do you feel slightly sad that the Phaser Type 1 never gets any love anymore?
Oh, what the little?
Just the little.
The little
This
remote
little
one,
thing.
like. Yeah. You never like they exist for like in Discovery season
Yeah.
1 and 2. You can see them as part of the Phaser design, but they never pop them off and use them. They only ever do that in TOS and TNG.
Yeah, that should be the standard. Magnificent. That should be the standard, like undercover cultural anthropology disguise phaser, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like you would think, but I can't think of a time outside of TNG or TOS where they actually used them.
No, they don't. Do you remember in the early seasons of TNG when they had the first generation of the phaser and it was that huge...
Oh, the Dustbuster, yeah.
With the big wide lens, with the big wide lips.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want them to look like guns, which I thought was silly, because it's like, Gene, they're guns. I'm sorry, they fire ray guns. What do you think they are? It's like, no, they're tools. They're tools. It's like, Gene, shut up.
Nice.
Stop trying to give Troy 3 breasts.
No, it's 4 breasts, wasn't it? It was, he wanted a whole, like, bloody dog, like some sort of dog or pig array of breasts.
Was it Marina Sirtis who just walked up to him and said, Gene, explain to me where the third breast is going to sit in my bra? And he was like, okay.
No, please. What was the...
What
was the Schwarzenegger
breasts. Thank you, Otto.
I think your Total Recall
Total Recall,
idol. You're
that's
thinking
it,
Total
yes.
Recall.
Yeah.
With Sonia Gomez. Yeah.
All right.
See, it all comes back eventually.
Okay, my next question. How much do you guys like Jadzia Dax?
I love Jadzia Dax.
A lot. Would you like to see her in Star Trek again?
Yes.
You would. Terry Farrell has been.
I don't know how you do it.
Terry Farrell has been on record recently as saying basically like resurrecting Jadzia. No big deal. They can do it. If they want to do it, they'll do it. And she wants to come back into Trek. Like, she's very much come on to paper to say, like, I'd love to be in that situation. And I think this harkens back to our sort of discussions about animated and audiobook series. Like, that's the way you do it, I think. Definitely a Lives of Dax series or something like that.
Well, so the problem with getting especially Jadzia back is the fact that she has such a short, determined life. We see her birth and we see her death, like from the Dax symbiote. You could potentially fill in the earlier gaps of what she's like as just Jadzia, like before Dax. But it's tricky. What I think might be the best way to do it is download her into a hologram with all of her like memories and stuff like that, and give her a mobile emitter. Go do it. That's the simplest way to do it. I feel like.
Are we talking about bringing back Jadzia or bringing back Terry Farrell?
I think
because you could do
we can do whatever she wants. Like
you can do the prophets take corporeal form in the form of Jadzia Dax.
That'd be cool. I'd be right with them.
How she was sort of like comparing the analogies is to Spock. She says they brought Spock back, like no problem. Like he came back, his catcher went forward, and I think there's room for the Dax symbiont to do something crazy there. Even like Doctor Who-ish kind of regeneration, where he can regenerate into previous forms, like they did.
Well, if another Discovery season 4. Spoiler.
With Grey,
they've created synthetics.
That's true.
That you can transfer
the consciousness of a previous host into a synthetic. Yes.
If you bring up the idea of Jadzia Dax appearing in Discovery in a synthetic body and appearing, my boyfriend will go insane because that is basically his like fever dream. You can't bring that up. That's a bad idea. Like he just won't shut up about it. Honestly, Terry Farrell is a great performer. She loves the series. She's really charismatic and fun. I don't know if you guys keep up with her social media, but she still looks amazing. She's still got all that Jadzia energy. She's still got amazing friendship. I was going to say. They're beautiful together. Just bring her back on Lower Decks. Bring her back on Prodigy. Bring her back and make her play an entirely different character. Why the fuck not? I don't care. Or you're going to say, oh, it looks like Jadzia. Yeah, good. Same actress. Deal with it. Guess what? She's cool.
It's not like they haven't done that before.
Yeah, Sarek looks like a Romulan commander. Big deal.
Yeah. Weird Pulaski looks like all these various people that appeared on the Enterprise back in the 2260s.
That's crazy. You're going nuts. Don't worry about it. Worf, why do you look exactly like your grandfather? We do not talk about it with outsiders.
Go Bolts. Go Bolts. It's big Dax energy. Come on.
Yeah.
Get the pun right.
Yeah.
There's loads of avenues. I mean, there is a lot of... I mean, now that Picard's been the hit that it is, regardless of quality of the series and however you sit with it, there's a lot more talk from older actors wanting to come back, and there's a lot more talk from the other way as well. A lot of CBS talk and directors talk about saying, we could bring these people back for this, and Janeway coming back from Prodigy and sort of talks about Janeway coming into live action and things like that, and obviously Seven appearing as well. There's a lot more talks about other actors just kind of going, yeah, we'd love to. You know, these big guys have been doing the convention circuit for years. It's not like they've done their acting gig and paid off and just kind of gone, yeah, I've done that. Oh, I'll come back for the money. They're dedicated to it. Like, they wouldn't do the conventions. Obviously, they get paid for conventions, but they wouldn't do it if they weren't like fans of their fans and keen on the franchise as a whole. So I think there's definitely an earned avenue for them to come back in some form, whoever it is. Like, you know, someone says like Kirok Lofton, Spocklet Chips, Kirok Lofton coming back as Jake Sisko somehow. You know, it would be, and maybe sort of like commanding a USS Nog somewhere would be very fitting or something like that.
I don't know. I feel like I like Jake being non-Starfleet, but coming back as an accredited writer, that's what I'd want.
Yeah, but I think there's absolute avenue for any Star Trek actor in any series, except Will Decker's actor, coming back to Star Trek and doing doing what they want. But yes, so that was something she'd comment on. Okay, the ongoing saga continues. Star Trek 4, the Kelvinverse film, has lost its director again. Matt Shakman, who was toted to direct Star Trek 4, has now moved on. He is now going to Marvel's Fantastic Four, which, to be fair, is probably the better gig. Yeah,
that is the better gig.
He is directing the Fantastic Four. Well, for now,
it's the harder gig. It's a way more difficult gig, though.
Didn't he get bounced off that as well? I feel like I remember seeing that also lost its director recently.
They did. It was originally supposed to be John Watts, Spider-Man's director, was supposed to
Right,
do,
that's what I'm thinking of,
and Matt Shakman has replaced him. Matt Shakman has done...
They took the Spider-Man director off the Fantastic Four film?
He went off... He didn't get kicked off. I think they amicably split ways. He went to do something else. But for anyone that doesn't know Matt Shakman, he did WandaVision. He's done an episode of Game of Thrones. Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's very much a comedy actor. He's done Psych. He's done some episodes of House MD and Chuck.
No, that's like good, actually. Because those are all about like family dynamic movies, which is what the Fantastic Four need, right?
Great for the Fantastic Four, but
I know this isn't that podcast.
He's not doing Star Trek. So the story here is Fantastic Four. Sorry, Star Trek 4, not as fantastic as it used to be. Has yet again the ongoing saga. This fucking film is just not getting made, is it?
It's really not. Like, I feel like it's also stuck in this thing of, yes, people would be happy to see these actors come back because, let's be real, the actors were not the problem with, like, Into Darkness or, to a lesser degree, IO9. That was just a writing problem and a J.J. Abrams problem.
By the way, just a note, Star Trek Beyond is awesome. Go and watch it.
Yeah, Star Trek Beyond is incredible. Give me a sequel to that, absolutely. But it's a 1-2 punch of a bad reputation because of Into Darkness, which is deserved, to a degree. And then there's the second problem, which is you have lost one of your main cast in tragic circumstances. Yes. And some people are like, do we want to return to this? And how do you address that in a way that's respectful? I feel like you could. It's very easy to explain why Chekhov isn't around, because that's...
He's commanding the USS Reliant. I think that's the...
Yeah, that'd be easily a way to get around it. But it is also a case of, like... I don't know, that must have been hard on the cast as well, because I feel like Star Trek casts have a tendency to get really close, knit together. Yeah. I don't know how they must have taken that.
Zoe Saldana is like one of Hollywood's biggest actresses at this point. She's done so many big roles, so many good roles, and even she talks fondly about Star Trek, and she says, yeah, I'd come back as Uhura, and that speaks volumes. People like Chris Pine as well, very vocal about coming back, and saying like, yeah, we would do it, we're waiting for the script, we're waiting for the opportunities, I'm there if they need to do it. But someone's fucking up somewhere. Someone in Paramount, or is this a Viacom thing now? Because it's all gone back to the merger, hasn't it? So
I'm surprised they haven't tapped Peg to do it.
Yeah.
Is he directed? Oh, well, he's done the Cornetto trilogy, but that was mostly Edgar Wright, right?
That was Edgar Wright.
That was his debut. Didn't he direct
No, he wrote Beyond. Beyond was written by him and some other first-time writers, which was kind of why it was fantastic, but he didn't direct the... Who's Beyond? No, Beyond was the Fast and Furious.
Justin Lin. Who did a great job.
Yeah.
But I think he's busy doing something else. Like, it literally feels like everyone they tap for this project is busy doing something else.
Yeah.
I'm also being told by my friend Katie that apparently apparently Anton Yelchin's death was very hard on that cast, and he was actually on his way to a script reading, if she recalls correctly. That must have been hard.
Like he was the Tom Holland of his time, like Anton Yelchin. He was going places, absolutely. Like there was.
He was really great in that
so
Fright Night
promise.
remake as well. Actually, yeah.
No, he was a Fast and Furious guy, Justin. Cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you? No, he didn't do Mission Impossible. That was shit. I don't know who does those films. There's one regular director that does all the Tom Cruise stuff. Anyway, never mind. Doesn't matter.
No, they trade off.
Yeah. All right. So let's say you're in charge of picking a director. Who do you pick for Star Trek 4?
Tarantino. Let him do it.
No.
Just let him do it.
No.
Oh my god!
No.
What is your problem?
Final film.
Tarantino's a master director. He's like one of the greatest directors of his generation.
Yeah,
and
no,
you're like,
I
nah,
get it. I
no,
get it. He's brilliant, but I don't want to see a piece of the action of the film. I don't, because that's what he was going to do. That was his film, was revisiting a piece of the action, and I'm not sure.
Here's the thing. I bet you would be hilarious, but I would not. I would be able to take that less seriously than Voyage Home.
I'm of the opinion that I don't know if you've got this show over there in the UK. There was a show here called Doogie Howser MD.
I've heard
where,
of it. That's
Neil Patrick Harris, right?
Yeah.
It was about a 13-year-old who became a doctor, right?
Okay.
And this is the worst concept ever for a TV show, but it was a really good TV show. So I always refer to that as an example of you can do any concept well. No matter how bad the concept is, you can do it. You can execute it well, and Tarantino knows how to execute.
Okay, but my counterpoint is that would be acceptable in place of Into Darkness. I do not feel that's a good idea for a sequel to Beyond from where that film left off. I feel like, honestly, they should be looking into doing, like, motion picture Wrath of Khan era by this point.
Yeah, following on.
Which is a very different tone. They're getting that the actors are getting older at this point. Like
it's the kind of
like Chris Pine is like in his 40s, right?
Well, what was Star Trek Beyond? That was 2016. That's like 8 years old now. Like the gaps are getting nearly the same to from TV series renewals to between the animated series and we need to do a movie. For Tarantino, for a director, like Otto says, they can do Discovery, Lower Decks, Prodigy. We can handle a Tarantino movie. I think we can handle a Tarantino movie that doesn't involve the Kelvinverse guys. I think if he wants to do his own thing with a bunch of unknowns, do some sort of piece of the action heist movie in the Star Trek universe, great, let him do it. But with the Kelvinverse lot, I think that kind of needs to be something special at this point.
All right, Nifty is selling me on Command Rat Pine. I'm okay with that, actually.
Stars, would you want Tarantino to direct a Bond movie? Because that's his other franchise that he wants to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I would absolutely allow him to do that. That'd be hilarious.
All right. What do you two? What are your two picks? What do you two want for?
Right, to pick two? Oh God! Don't
No.
do
I
this.
mean, that was T.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say the obvious one and say Frakes, but because everyone wants him to do
I trust Frakes. He's good. Yeah.
Edgar Wright would be pretty good. If I know he's not a Star Trek fan, but like I think he'd have a good attitude towards it, and he'd have a good because Edgar Wright is a master storyteller. Like you watch things about Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, like he sets things up in a way that's very cohesive that I think would work well in a way that no other Star Trek director kind of has. Like you that's why Hot Fuzz is like one of my pretty much everyone in the UK's favorite movie, because like everything in the opening of Hot Fuzz is referenced by the end, and it just all works so well.
It's all perfectly plotted out.
Edgar Wright would probably be my pick.
I'm really struggling to think of one. Who would I pick? Can I be a basic bitch and just say Christopher Nolan? I think that'd be interesting.
Christopher Nolan, interesting.
That'd be very ethereal. I don't know. Yeah,
he'd do all
the sci-fi stuff.
That would be
like
very motion. You'd get the motion picture too at this point. I think though he would be very.
But is that? I don't think I'd mind that from
Kelvinverse.
Actually,
it'd be all practical. He'd do all the effects practical. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, you're talking me into it now. Actually, that would be great.
Like he has like the vision to do big visuals and sci-fi sweep. Think of Interstellar and stuff like that, right?
That'd be
like
great. As long as he gets someone else to do his sound production, because I hate Christopher Nolan's sound production. It's either pretty quiet or pretty fucking loud. Yeah. Guy Ritchie, actually, that's not a bad choice. Guy Ritchie's done some great films.
Enjoy his Sherlock Holmes movies. The rest of it, I'm not as keen on.
I love Lock, Stock and Snatcher.
Lock, Stock's great. Yeah.
Ritchie's a very good director. I just don't think he fits this franchise flavor.
Only if it was an all-British ship. If it was a load of Cockneys, the USS Cockney, that'll allow.
Who directed Ocean's 11? That could be fun.
Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah. Oh yes, he did.
Soderbergh. Yeah, Soderbergh can direct in his sleep. He can direct anything in his sleep. He just gets bored of it. I think he doesn't want to do these sort of movies.
Yeah,
I can understand that. Yeah, like that's the problem with doing franchise stuff, and it kind of becomes it becomes all that you do after a little while, and you can understand why people like Scorsese don't want to get involved in that kind of thing.
No, yeah. Let's not talk about Ridley Scott either. That would just be a disaster. You'd get aliens.
Alien Covenant has destroyed that man.
You could just make everyone white and British.
Oh, what about Neil Blanc? What's his name? Neil Blomkamp.
Neil Blonsky.
Blonsky. That's Abomination Blonsky. It's Blomkamp for
Oh, weird. Yeah. Okay. Neil Blanc. Oh, yeah, who was going to do Alien 5 until it got ruined.
He did District 9, which was fantastic.
Yeah, Blomkamp.
Yeah.
My friend Katie is suggesting George Miller. That'd be interesting. Of Mad Max and Happy Feet.
Cristiano Paradise from chat says Tim Burton. No.
No. Did you see 3,000 Years of Longing? George Miller's latest film. It got a 7-minute standing ovation at Cannes with Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton.
Okay, wow. That's nuts.
That guy is still getting better, like into his late 70s, 80s. It's incredible.
That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting question of who you would get to do it.
Yeah. But anyway,
if I want to go, if I want to go really out there, I'd want to get. I think his name is Hideaki Anno, who did Shin Godzilla and I think Neon Genesis Evangelion. Completely out of the just do Shin Star Trek.
Yeah,
fuck it, why not? Why not? Transcend all the mediums. Do it.
See, that would be just all. It would just all be like Federation Council and Starfleet Command just arguing with each other, like
while light features destroying the Federation. Yeah, it'd be great.
Wait a minute. So we're getting a political situation, and then all of a sudden, is there pod racing? Is it George Lucas?
That'd be great.
George Lucas is in the wings. It's a surprise pick. He's coming in.
Shin Star Trek would be amazing.
All right. Okay.
Now I want that. Sorry, we've been talking about this for a while.
We have. Last piece
but
of news
if
before
we want to send this clip to Paramount and let them know.
Yeah.
Oh fuck no, they'll employ us. It'll be us three directing it. Shit. Over my element. Okay, last piece of news before we go on to our Insurrection look-in. We have the confirmation of our new engineer for Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. Spoilers! Sorry, we're well past that threshold now. If you don't know, you don't know. If you do know,
yeah.
I'm still crying now.
R.I.P.
However, this is such a good announcement because the new engineer that's gonna play a leading role in Strange New Worlds Season 2 is none other than Carol Kane. Gentlemen, please tell me where you know Carol came from, because that actually threw me until I went, oh yes, I've seen her in loads of things.
Have fun storming the castle.
Yeah,
that's my experience. Yeah, that's my experience of her.
Yeah, she's
like lifelong comedian. She's amazing. This is brilliant.
And in her 70s, in her 70s, isn't she now? Or
is she the oldest regular at this point? She looked amazing for 70s.
She done, yeah. But yeah,
if you told me she was 40, I'd believe you.
Well, how old is David Cronenberg?
Well, that's true.
Good point, actually. Yeah. But he's a guest. That's different rules.
Right. But yeah, she's going to be the engineer of the USS Enterprise after Hemmer, and it's
what a cool pick.
Yeah, that's so cool. I really like that.
Guess what? You can rotate engineers as often as you want, as long as they're all interesting and weird.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she got told with come. I want to join Star Trek, but I haven't got all the time and the commitment. She's like, just come in for a season. And I think, like you say, it's a great idea. Let's rotate the engineers.
Plus, there's a lot of in genre television and movies. There's a lot of ageism that goes on, right? Like everyone's got a dynamic.
Absolutely.
Every once in a while on TNG or like the other franchise shows, you would see like an older just lieutenant. Like in the background, and I always thought that was great. Like it's just great to see an older actor in there.
Because it's the thing. Like people were talking about how Bruce Horrick broke a lot of sort of things of like being the first Legally Blind sort of regular. And it's like in its own way, this is almost as big as that because like this is like I can't think of many shows that have people this old as a regular. And like I'm really curious to see what kind of engineer she's going to be, because I think they've said that she's going to be very atypical. So I'm very curious. Like I'm not familiar with a lot of her other work, so I might have to brush up before she debuts.
Ranarin asked, "Will she be alien or human?" The picture they showed at the convention, she's human. Yeah, she's very much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to be sitting at 5 a.m. doing the prosthetic work. So it was human.
That'd be a bit hard mask. Yeah.
And this is a good formula. You know, they did this with the Tig Notaro, right? Cast a comedian, cast someone who's funny, who knows how to like deliver a wry line.
Wait, when's Eddie Murphy coming in?
Who is who?
Eddie Murphy in his Raw outfit.
That'd be amazing.
I mean, the Raw outfit is basically an engineering jumpsuit, isn't it? It's basically what Kyle's wearing in Strange New Worlds.
Captain, fall down the stairs. Oh, mama, help no. Yeah. Oh no, he's already
Eddie
done
Murphy
Pluto
will play
Nash, there you go.
Yeah, no, I was going to say you're playing Lieutenant Pluto Nash, but perfect.
I've actually never seen that. Is that good? Is Pluto Nash
I haven't
good?
seen it for 20 years. When did that come out? In like the 90s?
So yeah, keep an eye on that. And if you didn't see it, there was a clip from Strange New World Season 2 as well, and they promised there is actually going to be an Ortega's focused episode, which made all of us go, yay, because we all love Ortega.
That clip, like, it's so weird how it's only like about 2 minutes, but it immediately got me thirsty again. I was like, I want to see the whole episode right now. Just give it to me. It's just like everything about it, like the very slight differences in slight hairstyles, like yeah, whatever. But like the actual character drama, the acting, the feel of it. It's just like all it is just like a little shot of Ortega's like, you know, quarters and a walk and talk down a hallway, and I'm just like,
yeah, I want. Is this the episode? Can we watch more of this? Yeah, it was great. It was typical.
Just doing my best meerkat impression. I want to pull all of it in because it's just like it's so engrossing to me. Strange New Worlds,
and it makes me appreciate that Strange New Worlds is establishing its style. Like it has its way of storytelling, the way of setting the mood, and the way of framing shots as well. Oh, shot's gone. The way of framing shots as well that just looks like it's defining its tone, which I appreciate, because not a lot of series do that. They don't say sort of like Discovery has its tone, but I'm thinking of more outside, like things can shift depending on what producers want, but they seem to have nailed down what kind of concept they want this as, how it presents to the audience, and I think that's really good. So yeah, go watch the clip. There is also a clip, was not something I'm not going to talk about because there's some spoilerish stuff in there that I want people to sort of either discover if they want to or watch live. But there is also a season 3 of Picard spoiler trailer out there as well.
Oh yeah, there's a whole thing.
I was going to talk about it, but then I thought actually this kind of goes into the realm of trailer spoilers a little bit because they do reveal a few things in there, and I think I'd like, if you want to go and see it, go and see it. It's on YouTube. If not, hold back and wait for the series to start. But yeah.
Now, Trekkie, you've got a great idea there, but it's a very specific. I have to refine it. A director for Star Trek, Mel Brooks, but only if it's Lower Decks.
Mel Brooks, Lower Decks. I don't know. I have an on and off relationship with Mel Brooks because, you know, I've watched some of the classics. Like
when he's good, nothing's like
Blazing
him, man.
Saddles, absolutely fantastic. But then I watched Dracula.
Producers.
Producers. I watched I haven't watched the producers, but I've been told I should. I watched Dracula Dead and loving it the other day.
Both versions are great.
Yeah, Dracula Dead and loving it, and I kind of went, no, that's when he was like, no.
Well, yeah, 90s not so much, but he got back into his stride.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, gentlemen, the year is 1998. We've come hot off the heels of Star Trek First Contact. The new film has been announced, and yes, it has been directed by Jonathan Frakes and has the...
All right, no, hang on. I have to set my mind correctly here.
Okay.
I'm 4 years old.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
God.
Westlife is still a thing.
Jesus, it wasn't it?
Star Wars has not yet taken over my brain with the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan is Bond. Now, give me the lead up. So we're going to Star Trek Insurrection, okay?
So yeah, so the titles reveal Star Trek Insurrection will be the next Star Trek film producing up. And so I'm going to give it... Oh, Auto's back. Hang on.
For this, he comes back in.
I got to do... This is the actual running because I love Insurrection, so please continue.
Okay, so let me give you a little... We're going to talk about... By the way, this is our cut-in. We're going to now talk about Star Trek Insurrection for however long we do. Because we previous weeks, we did Generations, we've done First Contact, and Insurrection, which I think a lot of us agree is very much the underdog of the TNG films. But let me give you a little bit of backstory. So Paramount, or is it Paramount CBS, went to Rick Berman and said, yes, those Star Trek films... give me another, please. That last one was very good. We'll have some more of that, please. And they kind of went to Michael Piller, who was turned down previously for writing the previous 2 films, and went back and said, "Now's your chance. Let's do a Star Trek film together." And
instantly.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we should get some historical context because not everyone is aware of who these like production names
of course,
are.
Yes.
Michael Piller is one of the big driving forces behind TNG.
Yeah.
He was brought in, I think, around about season 2, season 3, and he was one of the sort of the big pushers of a sort of a more humanistic, more conflict-driven story, which went against kind of like Gene Roddenberry's like idea of this is a conflictless future. It'll all be aliens bringing in conflict in. Yeah. And he is like he's a really awesome writing talent for TNG, and he was a big part of what gave TNG its feel. And his fingerprints are all over Insurrection. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to get to it, Cairo. He wrote a book about writing this movie, and the book is almost as good as the movie, I feel like.
So yeah, he basically looked at. He didn't like First Contact. He wasn't a fan because he felt it was the dark Star Trek. He'd like, and like you say, come from TNG to go to First Contact. He was like, no, I don't like that. So he wanted to take the other spin. And this is probably why this feels like a TNG episode. This is a 2-part basically. This is one of the typical TNG 2-parts. Probably why it feels like this. But he produced it under the idea of the Fountain of Youth, which is very sort of typical to the themes of the film. The original title for this film was Star Trek Stardust, named after the Hoagie Carmichael song. The original concept was that Captain Picard was sent down to track down a former Starfleet Academy classmate, Duffy, who is attacking Romulan ships in the far reaches of space. As the Enterprise crew pursues Duffy, they grow younger in age as they close in on the Fountain of Youth, powers of the Briar Patch. Problems with the dramatic, So there were a lot.
The climax you aren't hearing about is the fact that the finale was a fist fight between Duffy and Patrick Stewart as they were babies.
Hold on, is this the same Duffy from that Barclay episode where the glass molds around his hand?
Yeah. So yeah, they ended up dropping it for more sort of like Heart of Darkness stuff. There was a lot of sort of interplay between. I think the infamous story here is like Michael Piller sent the scripts out to various people, and it was Ira Stephen Bear that came into his office, took his sunglasses off, and went, "Michael, you can't do it." And he was worried because he says, like, Christ, he never takes his sunglasses off. Like, I'm in trouble here. Like, the script is so bad. Like, this is why it's going down. So eventually they ended up changing the script a little bit to what you see today. Gentlemen, can you give me 2 of the other titles what this film is called, if you know it, before they settled on Insurrection?
Star Trek 9.
No. Let's try.
The Three Amigos?
No.
No?
Okay. I'll tell you. So the other titles were Star Trek Prime Directive, which is kind of fitting. And the other title, before it got reused...
Star Trek Fuck Dougherty, is that... that's what I would...
No, Star Trek Dougherty out. There you go.
No, the other title was Star Trek Nemesis, which they ended up reusing for the next one.
That is way less fitting for this movie.
Absolutely.
I can't see that playing, really.
And before I very quickly...
Unless the Nemesis is old age? That's weird.
Yeah. Before I very quickly take my leave of you for a brief moment, did you know this is actually the first Star Trek film to not use industrial light and magic since Star Trek Final Frontier?
Know that.
Because they were too busy working on the Phantom Menace. But gentlemen, please.
Yes, and I'm gonna piggyback off that. So you go and do your pee, Idle. I know you do. So this is the first Star Trek movie without any physical models. Yeah, as I said, there's no ILM. The effects for this movie, which are a little bit dated, and you can kind of see the rough edges where ILM probably wouldn't have left them, was produced by Blue Sky Studios, who later went on to make Ice Age, Hort, Here's a Who, and Rio. So, great pedigree here.
How many of those grossed more than Insurrection, by the way?
Probably all of them, sadly.
Ice Age definitely did.
Now, gentlemen, hard question. First Contact or Insurrection, which has better soundtrack? Because they're both Jerry Goldsmith, and they're both fire. Which one's better?
First Contact.
I love Insurrections. It fits the movie really well, I think. But dude, the end theme, First Contact, where Lily's
it's
there
so much stronger, isn't it?
Dude, it's like I want that played at my funeral. I've said that so many times to people. So it's close, but first contact.
Yeah,
You...
like I think because especially also you get the Klingon theme coming back, the Borg theme is incredible, but this does have really nice themes to it. Like I really appreciate all the music during the Briar Patch fight. Like I know I recommended soundtracks before, but go listen to the Riker Maneuver and like all the music for this is great. Like Jerry Goldsmith never wrote a bad note in his life. Guys, I love this movie. I actually kind of love Insurrection.
So we actually watched it.
The musician's back. Let's stop the music conversation now.
Damn right. That was my trap. That was my mind game.
He's here to drink and push transitions. That's what...
Transitions, you say?
So we actually watched Insurrection together, Stars and I, a couple months back when he visited, and we watched the Sirtis and Frakes commentary over it, which, again, is as good as the movie.
Yeah, no, they are absolutely adorable together, and they have some really great zingers. Like they're talking about, oh, we've aged, and then Patrick Stewart appears on screen. Oh, Patrick hasn't changed much, except he's richer. Yeah, that shows. And their answer to why there's not a single white face to be seen in the Baku village. Oh, well, they're all of Swedish descent, you see.
You mean why there's only white faces?
Oh, yeah.
Why there's only white faces.
I was looking when I rewatched it recently I watched it with the commentary on, because I knew you basic bitches were all going to watch the standard version with normal audio, and I was like, no. I will come in with the commentary.
So did Jonathan Frakes
I was watching the
faces. Did Jonathan Frakes mention that you wore a fake beard? In one of the
scenes.
No,
he didn't actually.
No, he didn't.
In the scene where they're talking about the duck blind, when Geordie and Troy are on the beach, so he'd already shaved at this point. He'd already shaved for the film. So they said, we need some reshoots. He's like, well, I'm going to need a beard. And so they put a face. So if you want to look closely, it's probably very well done, because I didn't notice until I looked it up. But yeah, he is wearing a fake prosthetic beard.
I'm never going to be able to watch that movie again. Thanks a lot.
Ruined.
Yeah,
I
didn't need a...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I didn't need a commentary to notice that it was all white people in this allegory about displacement of marginalized people.
Well, you know what it is? It's the X-Men problem, where the only way you can make white people care about discrimination and relocation and is by making all the people who are being discriminated against white. And it's like, you know what?
Dude,
that's the Hollywood way.
Even if it had been like an allegory for the Jewish people, it's like displacement. This was still yet the waspiest possible.
Oh yeah. It's so white. Sirtis and Frakes even call out that there's a few shots where it's like, look, it's Picard, Moses leading his people to the promised land. It's like it goes into that territory, and it's like. But that's that 1998 thing where it's like, oh yes, this is very white. It's like I think Geordie and Worf are probably the only black people in the entire cast. Yeah. Maybe one background extra on the Enterprise. It's not great.
There's a henchman. There's a black henchman.
Oh yeah, the Tarlac in the Allura. Yes.
Yeah.
Which you know what I had to say, that's something in favor of this movie. I appreciate that they go to the effort of saying, look, it's not all just Sona. It's you've got your two labor classes, so we can have a bit more diversity amongst the bridge crew. So it's not all just the same people with their ridiculous stretchy faces. And it's a nice little bit of world building, especially since they do that a little bit to tie into DS9 as well, which I appreciate.
Yeah, they talk about this a bit. Brushing off skirmishes on the he's very high and mighty about it. It's like, we're just brushing off skirmishes at the edge of the war. We're not doing a lot. We're just doing our exploring. It's a trifle to me, isn't it? I love how funny this film is. I love Insurrection not because it's one of the big dramatic Star Trek films. I love it because it is genuinely the most I felt the TNG cast be as human as they are with each other. From Riker to going, it's smooth as a baby's bottom data to, it
is a gorge, sir.
It is a gorge to the Ichan Shafor scene where he's having to put the thing on his head and everyone's kind of leading him up to it.
Okay, so that scene, he's in the anteroom and he's talking to Dowdy on the comm. And then he turns around and signals to the ensign, and the door opens and she talks to him. And then at the end of that scene, he's standing there like dreading going back to the thing. But as the door opens, he puts a big smile on his face. So I'm thinking, this is not double-sided glass because the ensign could see him and enter the room. So all the dignitaries saw him like...
century.
All the dignitaries saw him like, oh shit, I don't want to be here. And then the door opens and he's smiling again. So it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. This
Mask off, Picard.
Yeah. One of those instances of Picard's like, my second love was archaeology and cultural anthropology, and then just being absolutely miserable at the chance to experience some cultural anthropology like in person. Like, oh god,
there's no ruins.
Things and driving dune buggies.
These people are still alive. I don't want to research this. I want to feel their bones.
Yeah, then he goes down to the armory, picks out the phaser rifle. No, for long.
Okay, so we all meme about the manual steering column, but is that not just awful? Like, to put an actual joystick in a 24th century movie, is that not actually bad?
It is essentially this joystick. Like, it is a thrustmaster. They do actually model it. They don't even try and make their own.
So I don't know if this ever came up in your trivia search, Island. I don't know if you'll remember this or. Do you know whose idea the manual steering column was?
Oh no, go on.
Guess. Come on, guess. You can, it's a silly idea.
Was it Frakes? I'll do the obvious one.
No.
Right.
Berman.
Okay.
No. There you go. It was Rick Berman.
Yeah.
And it was because he wanted to appeal to the youth audience. He thought that young people were going to go out to Star Trek Insurrection, see Riker initiate the manual steering car, and be like, yeah, that's my Riker with the joystick.
You don't think it was because Berman was like wanking off and was like, you know what? I have an idea.
He just finished filming the scene,
like watching his own work.
He'd finished filming the scene with Riker and Troy in the bath, and he'd go, you know what? I'll tell you a bit I love as well. I just love, because it was almost a kind of recurring theme for this film and First Contact, which they gave up on Nemesis and just went, yeah, Worf's on the bridge. For Worf to have an excuse to why he was there. And it was just like, oh, Captain, I was engaging in diplomatic relations. Picard's like, no, fuck that, get on the bridge right now, come on. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Worf, now shut up.
Yeah.
Now, even Nemesis is better justified, because at least he was there for the wedding.
Oh, true.
Right.
But he was serving. He was serving on the Enterprise. He wasn't...
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. He was in uniform. Like, if he was the ambassador of Kronos, he wouldn't be in a Starfleet uniform.
Don't worry about it.
We're not here to talk about Nemesis anyway. We're talking about... We get on that next time. Next time is Nemesis.
You know what? This is the part where I announce that we're going to skip the next 3 movies and we're going to go straight to Star Trek Beyond.
I like that this is just more of a chance for Picard to dunk on Mr. Worf. Like, he's late to the bridge. He's like, straighten your balls.
Straighten your boulders,
Commander.
Commander.
On D Space Nine, but on the Enterprise, we report to duty on time.
Yeah,
As if he hasn't
it's one of
served
those
with him for
things.
7 years and he knows what he's like.
I hope on season 3 of Picard they address this horrible like daddy
bullying
issue that Worf must have with Picard, like seeking Picard's approval and just never getting it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Okay,
the closest he ever got was that moment of First Contact.
But who would you rather be, Beverly Crusher or Worf? Like,
Insurrection.
would you rather have absolutely nothing to do in First Contact and Insurrection?
Yeah.
Would you rather have absolutely zero to do or be like the punchline?
Worf at least gets to do some cool stuff in both movies.
Yeah.
But what does Bev do in Insurrection apart from the odd like one-liners about her breasts?
She doesn't miss a single shot.
She has 100% accuracy with her phaser rifle.
It's true. It's true. She is the best like replacement captain of the Enterprise has ever had. She brings
It's true.
the
Incredibly
soda
competent.
to his mom at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
You know what? That is a nice moment. What else does she do? I guess she does a little bit of science bullshit. She really doesn't. She gets very little. Oh, you know what? She gets to rib Picard about the fact that he's like too vain to replicate a new dress uniform. Like, Picard, these are new uniforms. These were instituted like a year ago, and you've already outgrown the neck. Just get a new one, you ass. And he's like, it's my same size. It wasn't the Academy.
And she talks about her boobs.
Yeah.
And they have started to fuck them up.
Yeah.
Not that we care about such things in this day and age.
No.
Yeah.
What do we think about the whole... Oh, sorry. No, you go first, Otto.
Well, I want to talk about FMUR, F. Murray Abraham, because
yes.
I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a bold choice because he's a fantastic actor, but he was 60 at the time, and they gave him a decent amount to do.
Really?
He fights with Dougherty, right before he kills him, and then obviously he's like chasing Picard in the collector at the end. So he moves around a decent. He's a great actor. I'm surprised that they went that old, but I guess that's because they had to pair up someone with Patrick Stewart. So I don't. What do you guys think about F. Murray in
I thought he was
that?
great. I really like.
He's good.
Ruffo as a villain, like storyline wise aside, I think he brought everything to the role. Like he was compelling enough in the role as he was full mustache twirling, but not in a kind of campy way. He was just like, this is just what we are. We are this sonar, and I want this planet for my own. It was he personified that personal vengeance that the sonar had against the Baku in a hammy way that worked, if you know what I mean.
Right.
The acting is so much more superior to the writing because it's like the movie spends so much more time getting Picard's dick wet than it does developing his character. I'm sorry, but are you going to say, Shai?
I was going to say the character has to be old, right? Because the whole movie theme is about chasing youth and running away from age. So the age of the actor is actually appropriate to the story. I told you guys all my F. Murray Abraham story like on a previous podcast, but he is a great actor, and he understands.
Hey, hold on, we have time, Shai. We have time.
Yeah, we always have time.
Okay, quickly, I was doing a Japanese musical about an artist dying of brain cancer. Laugh a minute. And
was that the name of the production?
Yes. F. Murray Abraham was friends with the writer, the playwright, and he came to see the show, and he came backstage afterwards and was like very, very kind, very congratulatory. And I asked him, what are you working on now? He goes, well, I've taken some time off, but when you see good theater, it really makes you want to jump right back into it, doesn't it? And I go, so you're going to take some more time off then?
And then, like, he shouted, "No!" And then, blood spurted out of his head.
Oh, yeah. God, that moment.
It's so good, though. Like, that's one thing where I talk about where the more over the top and silly Star Trek is, the more it kind of works. Like, if you put that in any other production, I'd be like, that's ridiculous. But, like, here it's like, it works. There's something about that over the top tone in this like universe where it's just like I see that I'm like, man, that guy's a fucking maniac. Not that's really silly,
But the whole main cast is joking the whole time. Data has jokes. Worf and Picard are singing. Bev and Troy do the boob stuff. So it's like everybody's got their jokes. Riker and the shaving and Deanna in the tub. Like it's all jokes. You can't put a serious villain opposite that and expect to be laughed at by the good guys. So you have to be a little bit over the top there.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Now, so that's the thing, right? I feel like who is the best actor in this film? Because it's not F. Murray Abraham, it's not Patrick Stewart, it's not Brent Spiner. Who is
Vincent
it?
Parham.
No, although she does give the best fuck eyes I've ever seen in cinema.
It's Donna Murphy.
No, it's not Donna Murphy.
No, this certainly is Donna Murphy.
Come on, think about like the actual most emotionally affecting scene in this movie.
Susan Oliver wasn't available, so
it is of course LeVar Burton, who gets to do the Geordie sight scene is beautiful, and I feel like it's so much better. Thank you, Cranky. Cranky got it. It's Geordie. That sight scene, especially, that's where I'm like, you know what? I think I might, in some ways, prefer at least that track. I think it's called "New Sight" on the soundtrack. It's so beautiful. Like the pairing of like the color enhanced sunrise, LeVar Burton getting to act his heart out with his eyes, which he never gets to do on the show because of the fucking visor. Like, why did you hire one of the most eye-expressive actors in the business and then cover up his fucking eyes?
So this is not the first...
What this
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just saying that's what this movie really reveals. Like that LeVar Burton has these beautiful eyes, and these idiots covered it up for like 15 years.
Dude, they could have put the visor on Worf, and like the show might have actually been better for it.
Wow.
And then we do an episode where he's in combat, his visor falls off, and he has to use echolocation to fight his opponent.
Didn't realize he was a bat.
Wow.
He just starts shouting in Klingon to identify where.
Oh no!
So okay,
not the bat less.
This Worf scene. I was reading a comment on Reddit actually quite recently. Sorry, not the Worf scene. The Geordie scene was actually the second time he's been given the choice of having his real eyes and rejecting it. But the first time was in season 1. With
Riker.
The Q Riker episode where he gives him his eyes and he goes, no, the price is too much, and it's exactly the same one. And I kind of love that's kind of what one of the appealing qualities of Geordie is. He knows the limits to what is the worth of things of life.
And it even kind of comes back because he says to Picard, like, how can I look at another sunrise knowing what my vision cost these people? Yeah. So it does kind of come back. Yeah.
I think that happens again in season 2 with Pulaski, where she like offers him. She says, I can give you like 95% normal vision or something, and he decides to stick with the visor. So
thanks. Yeah. I get headaches.
Yeah, there's something like unknown variables. He just doesn't want to trust it.
So
right, because he doesn't want to take eyesight from a racist. It's always he's taking a stand. Like, no, racist. I don't want eyes from you.
Look, I maintain that Pulaski is one of the most realistic people on that whole show. So,
data.
All right.
Okay.
So, speaking of acting, what do you guys think about Brent Spiner in the beginning of the movie? Like when he's like in full he's in like full activated Dodge mode, like where he's just like full instinct, computerized things, like the protocols are active, and it's like I was kind of watching him because like throughout the rest of the movie it's like, oh, I have been designed to act as a flotation device, oh, I need to have fun, but in that first scene he's very different from both Data and from Lore, because even though he's being very cold, there is absolutely no emotion on his face. Like, there's like maybe a hint of irritation, but Brent Spiner does actually do like emotionless like machine like relatively well in that scene.
In the event of a water landing, I have been designed to serve as a flotation device.
Yes.
Thank you for undercutting my point, Cranky.
As an aside, from that point, I love the point where they regenerate him in engineering. And goes, I seem to be missing some of my memory nodes, and the Geordie goes, oh, there they are.
Yeah.
Look, Spiner's an excellent actor, right? He's so versatile and so much range. I couldn't get past the technobabble dialogue of that running. Like, you know what? I even wrote down a couple. It was like regulating thermal overload, transferring positronic matrix functions. Like, what are these things? You're sweating and you're like, what's your
transferring?
But I love that. That's Data.
It's meant to be too fast for you to understand what he's saying, because if say like Geordie was there in the duck blind, he'd get it because he understands Data like the back of his hand. But like for us, we're like, what the fuck are you saying? Because it's meant to be, you're meant to think it's a malfunction for at least a little bit, and then like you kind of see the blown up neck, and you're like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Spiner's doing great work in that scene. I couldn't get past the sort of janky choreography of it all. Like someone comes up behind him and wraps their arms around him. Like that's your like that was your plan. Get her. That was your plan.
Yeah, no. Why don't like what happened to your phaser, dude? Did you drop it while you were running? What kind of Starfleet security officer are you?
How do we feel?
But I do really love
about Data or just any of the Star Trek producers forgetting he has an emotion chip. Like, he turns it off in First Contact, and he never turns it back on.
No, they mention it. He literally says his emotion chip, he didn't take it with him.
Yeah.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But
they mention it, yeah.
Yeah, because Picard's like,
malfunction. They ran back the bit from Generations.
Okay. It's, yeah.
So, Stars, to answer your question, what I thought about that, I think is one movie too late. Because Brent Spiner's just a touch old at that point. And so to have him go like full Rambo while you can, see his wrinkles and his, the folds and stuff, it's It's like, I'm gonna buy it. I'm a Star Trek fan. All right, it's cool, and I actually love that scene. But it's like, if you'd have done it 5-6 years ago, maybe that just fits a little bit
difference
better.
between when you're watching things on VHS and now with our 4K HD televisions. Like, you're gonna notice that stuff.
Yeah, and it's like, you take notice at the fight choreography, and it is bad because Star Trek fight choreography is almost uniformly bad until like 2017, basically. But I do actually really love the visual impact of, say when you have all the invisible people running through the Baku and then just knocking that woman over and all the flower pots go over it, but there's nothing there. That effect looks really cool. I'm still not quite. Did you just have really talented stunt people and people just with strings? And throwing the guy into the lake and then there's nothing there that's vicious. That's cool. As an opening, I feel like the Insurrection is actually really strong in its visual impact.
Because it starts so very light-hearted, doesn't it? You get that kind of... You go, we're watching Star Trek Insurrection. It's like... You're like, I'm not watching it. Is this Who Watches the Watchers too?
Well, it's very... because they do the zoom in. Yeah.
They have to have one xenoanthropology episode per season, so that's...
This is the mandated one, yeah.
So season 8 of TNG, those 4 films, that is the one.
Yeah, basically. So... I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but have I about the inspiration for the sonar and precisely why they do the face stretching? Have I mentioned that previously?
No, go please do.
Was it Brazil?
So no.
Terry Gilliam,
To tie into the Fountain of Youth idea, they decided that this is, you're gonna laugh because this is showing that a lot of the same people who worked on this also worked on Voyager. They based the sonar on drug dealers because they are selling guns and drugs to the Dominion. The characters sell white.
Okay.
And they're also San Francisco, so that they're massively obsessed with Vanity, which is doing the facelifts.
Star Trek Insurrection,
all these different elements.
Is this The Wire of Star Trek?
No, please. Bite your tongue. How dare you even mention this movie in the same breath as The Wire?
Yeah. Because here's the thing, this is how you know that a lot of the people who worked on this thing, and you can also spot a lot of the same sets used over as well. I'm pretty sure the library where Riker and Troy is, I think that's main engineering from Voyager, just redressed a little bit.
Yeah, that was
I thought you meant they were reusing sets from The Wire. I'm like, I don't remember that happening.
It's just like Baltimore.
Village.
Just like Baltimore.
Baltimore just looks like that. What was I going to say? Because the Kazon were meant to be based on LA gangs because they had the different clan structure and the violence thing. But it's also well, guess what? That's how you know that these concepts were developed by the same people because they don't quite come across. And I have to tell you this symbolism rather than you going, I wonder if they're based on this. And you look up and go, oh yeah, but I have to tell you that that's what the inspiration was because it doesn't come through very well. You
Maj
also
Kala
left out
straight out of Compton. Okay.
I want to see that Photoshop now.
Straight out
get
of
on that.
Compton.
Don't do this. Don't do this. That's awful. Yeah. Now, Idol, I can't believe you left out the fact that Data was meant to die in this movie.
Oh, was he? No,
Brent Spiner was campaigning for him to die in this movie.
Oh shit! No, I did not know that.
It was meant to be a case of when they go and get him and deactivate him, he was meant to be dead, and then the whole thing was meant to be kind of a revenge for Data type thing.
Oh wow!
And then that kind of went through a few revisions, and they were like, "Nah," and then they did it in this movie anyway.
Next time,
we'll do it way worse.
When he walked through the lake with the tricorder scan, they didn't realize that he actually wasn't waterproof, so he just just stays at the bottom of the lake.
This is such a goofy moment. Goofy moment. These little fishes tickle the fish. It's just
So, the three of you seem to really like this movie. I have no real problem with this movie, but is it not too corny for you? This film is it not too jokey?
It is. But
I feel like. I think that it's earned because they had a long run. They did a lot of serious stuff. And we do get certain elements of, the Picard speech in the ready room with Dougherty
and Sona,
petroleum turn, thugs into world leaders, and then how many people does it take before? That is pure distillated TNG right there. So I feel like they've earned it with their pedigree over time. If this was their first movie, then it'd be that doesn't quite fit.
Twitch comes up with a good point that this is the Star Trek 4 for TNG. This is the Voyage Home for TNG. I feel that's a good analogy.
Mm.
And they needed a break, like you said, after First Contact. That really was much darker, so they wanted to go light.
Yeah, that is the problem. It's meant to be their Star Trek 4, so it's a lightening in tone because First Contact, as much as I love it, is quite dark. And it goes to some very violent and awful places. Like it kind of has to because of the subject matter. And then this is meant to be like Star Trek 4, but whereas Star Trek 4 has the understandable message of save the whales and environmentalism, and also we have to save Earth, this is a lot harder to grok the emotional heart of it because it is in the end 600 white people who don't want to give up their Fountain of Youth planet, despite the fact that they've lived for 400 years.
Yeah, it's Save Iceland.
And the people they're pushing away are their own children. That's the other thing. The Sonar are descendants of the Baku. That's the kind of the split there as well, which makes it
but they kind of left on their own, though, right?
Supposedly. Well, they were driven out, I think.
It was vague. It was very vague.
Well, it's underdeveloped. They don't exactly mention how they left and why they left.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Shai, tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why this is too campy for you.
Well, I mean, my main issue with this movie... Star Trek 4 starts off as a comedy, right? It's clearly a comedy. This one keeps, as you say, like it jumps back and forth between moments of trying to like tell a moral story and then like throws a joke in here and there. So it doesn't commit fully to being a comedy the way Star Trek 4 does. And my main issue for this movie is it feels like an episode. I'm not the first person to say
fair
this.
point, to be fair.
The movie runs like 92 minutes. It's literally a two-parter.
Fun fact on that is actually the shortest Star Trek film at 103 minutes. Is the shortest Star Trek film.
But that's with credits. That's with credits.
Possibly, yes.
Yeah. Then take out the overture and the end credits, and it's 90 minutes. It's 2 episodes.
Okay.
So I would ask you, where would you rank this in terms of 2-parter TNG episodes?
Ooh.
Like, is this better than Chain of Command? Is this better than... It's definitely not better than Best of Both Worlds.
No.
Well, you know what it is better than? It's better than Descent, because I think Descent is kind of trash, actually.
It's better than Gambit. It's better than Gambit.
I would put it third. I would put
setup, but...
Chain of Command, Reunification, Insurrection, and then maybe probably Birthright after that.
You put this ahead of Best of Both Worlds?
Best of Worlds, yeah.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. Fake fan.
How dare you?
I actually didn't love Best of Both Worlds, so I'd probably put it right below Insurrection.
What?
Wow. God.
If I was there at the time in the moment watching it, concurrently with everyone else, I might feel differently. But
yeah,
we're going to go off track a little bit, only for briefly, to tell the UK story of the Best of Both Worlds. We had the finale of the Best of Both Worlds, and then we had to wait 2 years before they aired the fucking sequel because the distribution rights in the UK were fucking trash. So I ended up watching the part 1 and then going, this is so fucking awesome, and then I never paid off until I ended up watching it on some...
Wow. I just had to wait for summer. No, I remember I was like eighth grade. I just had to wait for summer.
Was absolutely terrible. Anyway, back to Insurrection.
Now, here's the thing. I think Shai does have a point in that this is the Star Trek movie that contains these 2 scenes. Their need for youth has escalated into parricide.
Parricide.
And cut to British Star is a soul.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was so good.
Yeah. Well, guess what? There's a reason. That's the thing. It is really silly, and I talk about how Star Trek needs to be silly, and it's true.
Yeah.
The backslide between this is the genocide of a people, forced relocation. These are good moral points to bring up, but you backslide a little bit too hard. And bringing out Star Trek 4, I think, is a good idea of how to balance that, where you go from it starts off relatively serious because, hey, we're going back to Earth, we're going to get a judge. Oh shit, Earth is getting destroyed. Things are really bad. The windows of Starfleet headquarters are blowing up. Suddenly, okay, then we have the time warp, and then, okay, now it's silly again. Oh, Chekhov's about to die. That's really bad. Don't you have any feelings about that? Suddenly the emotional punch comes back in, and it's that feels a lot more earned, whereas, you backslide from really high emotional Patrick Stewart, we're going to do something what's right, to, like Riker and Troy in the bath having post-coitus. And it's like, the tones are...
Pre and post.
Pre and post, we do actually, yeah. You just the peaks and the valleys just don't segue into each other quite uniformly. You don't get the proper ramp up to the dramatic moments. Like the build up to the how many people does it take Admiral is like there's like no build up to that. It just kind of happens in between funny scenes on the Enterprise. You don't really have. I feel like this could have really benefited from more conversations about the ethical ramifications and like. Give Beverly something to do. Have her be, Picard's sounding board, because God knows she's a really good, like, combative foil for him in the breakfast conversations. And she's always been a really strong. Have Picard be momentarily tempted by the idea of, well, it is just 600 people, and like, they've had a long life, and then have Beverly be like, no, you're being fucking dumb.
I don't think Picard would have ever have done that. I think he. I don't. Think
well,
he
no,
would
but
have
him consider it.
I have him fits his
at least think about
like
let me bring up another maxim of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And then suddenly
I still think Picard is the one person that balks against that. I think he always considers the few at the cost, not at the cost of the many, but more as an example of the many. He's always been the underdog's champion. I never think he would even consider sacrificing any one person for the sake of everyone. Like, I think that's kind of one.
Then,
of
as a counterpoint, you do need someone on the crew to at least consider, because even Geordi is just too moral. This is the problem with the TNG cast: is they're all moral paragons to some degree who would never do it. And this segues into another point I have, which is that Dougherty actually has a cut backstory about how his wife died of a disease that would have been cured by metaphysics.
Of course.
And that's meant to be his motivating point about. Of course, you have to kill a woman for this backstory. It's Hollywood tradition.
It's the typical Admiral as well. It's not the typical Admiral with that backstory, but it turns. If you cut it, he just turns into like, I'm just a greedy Admiral that's just here for profit. He's almost the Ferengi of the episode, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's I do. Even if it's not Picard, you have to have someone think about it and talk about it properly.
I understand Dougherty's motivations. He's the manager, and he has to look out for everyone, not just the 600 people. And they hit the point, right on the nose. Metaphysics could extend the lives of trillions of people. Is that worth 600? So it's like, he's the boss that everyone hates, but he's got to look at big picture stuff. So you can at least understand it even without I don't think you really needed the sympathy backstory. And, they didn't think so either because they cut it.
Yeah.
Like, my manager's like, we've got this new technology that can make some people a bit longer, but we have to kill these other. Like, I'm definitely on Picard's side of it. Like, it is a moral outrage that we could just have a slight increase to our life over the. Hold on.
I didn't say I agree with him. I say I agree with his motivations.
Okay, right.
All right. Sure. Otto said he had some really good ideas.
I'm just saying, if you read his book, there's some good points in there. All right.
But it's like, here's the thing. I feel like, what? If you're not going to have Picard consider it, you know what you should do? You should have the tried and true conference room scene. We should have had a conference room scene, because that would have really made this a two-parter. We don't have one.
They did. They had it in the weapons locker.
It should have been Halftel.
Trailer moment.
Dougherty should have been Admiral Halftel.
So Picard could shoot him and be like, and that's for Lal as well.
Wait, so hold on. It's Riker on the manual steering column. Cut to Halftel going. His hands are moving so fast.
So Apollo raises a good point. Apollo raises a good point. Picard was happy to let all Worf's brothers, wife, planet, and people die when there's dust. It's kind of the same episode as Homeward, where they have to take a fleeing planet to.
There's bits of Homeward, bits of Journey's End.
Picard was okay with that.
Yeah, there's also been a Journey's End for the Native Americans.
Because that race is going to come back and destroy like half the Federation in like 300 years. That's what they should do in season 5 of Discovery. Go back and point out all the times the Prime Directive was violated. Those species came back and like decimated the galaxy. That's what I want to see in season 5.
Yeah. But it also does come to the fact that it's not just living a little bit longer. It's getting your sight back. It's about like living exponentially longer. It's about having more time to live your life and do the things you otherwise thought you would never be able to. Because even with extended lifespans, it's like life-threatening disease is not like even being a factor. It's like reframe this. Suddenly, it's not Phantom of Youth. Suddenly, it's like a cure to every disease known to man.
Yeah, but see, this goes back to another Picard quote, which is like something like something along the lines of like not figuring out a different option is a horrible failure of imagination. Like this is a false dichotomy that the Sona are setting, right?
Well, yeah.
There's other metaphasic particles available in the Briar Path. They just want it now so they can benefit them individually. Like if the Federation actually took the time and invested and researched, they could probably figure out a way to harness these metaphasics and benefit everyone without displacing these 600 people on the planet. It's like that. What was the DS9 episode where Kira has to go and kick the guy off the moon because they're going to
Progress. That's a great episode.
Progress, right? It's kind of the same story. But if you watch that episode, they also in that episode could have found another way to develop that moon without like kicking that guy off of his land.
No, fuck that guy.
Done it in
it was about making a point.
Runtime.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real thing, isn't it?
I feel like I have to clarify here. It's like I agree. It would be morally wrong, especially because like the only reason the Federation is even involved in this scenario is because it's in Federation space, which is such a ridiculous. It's like
I thought it was outside.
Yeah.
No,
we have the planet. They have the technology. There's something in the rings that makes the whole damn thing work. Don't ask me. I'm not a scientist.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Federation
So the
territory.
Federation liaison on this scientific mission has no idea how the technology is working. Like, I wonder why.
Fucked off already. But it's like the fact that we have a claim. Like it's a fucking pre-warp planet by your own rules. You don't have a claim. If anything, you should be protecting them. And so I am totally on Picard's side in here, but it's like structurally for the movie and for trying to create any kind of sympathy for the villain, or at least give them like motivation that like holds up and isn't complete mustache twirling. Like you needed to do a lot more groundwork, and they just don't do it.
Ruafu is not the Thanos. Like he is not the person with the real grand story. We are missing a big part of this film. We haven't talked about Anish. We haven't talked about the love interest that sort of come out of nowhere and didn't really do a lot. Like, there seemed to be this sort of paragon of... Go on, go on.
So, the VHS I had as a kid was not like the extended cut. They'd cut a bunch of scenes out, including the stuff down on the planet where... So Picard goes and talks to Anish, what is it, Josim? And
Sojef.
Sojef and like the four of them. They're in the room talking, and then they cut back to whatever. So they cut the whole scene where she's the walk and talk with her and him. She explains how they have this the special power to slow down time. So you don't see that in the shortened cut, and so all of a sudden in the future, or later in the episode, I almost said for shy. I'll say later in the episode. Picard and her are sitting there, and she like magically slows down time. And it's like, what? They didn't explain how they randomly have the power to like stop time. What's going on here?
When they were trying to run away.
Yeah. Where was your power to stop time when you're being chased by drones shooting darts?
These were the true clock
perfect moment. That's the thing. It wasn't a perfect moment. You can only slow down time when you're touching a bald man's head. That's all I got from it.
So. The problem with Anish is, so I'm not familiar with Donna Murphy's other work. I think she's fine, but the problem is you go from Alf Woodard, who is like probably one of the best actors of her generation, to a actress who is primarily known for like musical comedy on Broadway, and these are different skill sets, and I don't feel like they are quite applicable for doing a science fiction film about the Fountain of Youth. And Anish is also kind of underwritten, where she's meant to be the viewpoint for the Baku, and it's like what does she like doing?
This whole movie's underwritten, Stars.
Well, yeah, it is, but I feel like she especially, because like I can at least point to motivations and say this character wants that, this character wants this. What does Anij actually want? Because she doesn't. All I really know about her character is she likes swimming. She doesn't like swimming. She can't swim.
She was Dr. Octopus's wife in Spider-Man 2. I did not know that.
Oh, wow, she lasted long in that movie, huh?
And she's the witch in Rapunzel, the animated movie.
Wow, is he
Yeah,
real? Wow,
she's
okay,
a
weird.
Broadway legend, Donna Murphy.
Yeah,
one thing I think
don't
they
feel
did.
like she's a great fit for this movie.
One thing I think they did okay with is, how do you play a 400-year-old? Well, you have to be wise. You have to pretend like you know what's going to happen before it happens, and you have to be a little bit aloof. And I think her and
She does get that.
Sojeff, they do I think a pretty good job with that, at least.
He's so Jeff.
Yeah, her scene with Picard is
he's
I
really
think that's
Jeff.
A wonderful scene.
Such Jeff.
Where she
It is a wonderful scene, but it's like I feel like a lot of her character is sacrificed to like being a viewpoint for her people, whereas it's like I don't know what she herself is about and what she does. Like Lily in First Contact, I know that she's an engineer. I understand that she struggles with the nature of humanity. I know that she's friends with Zephram Cochrane. I know that she doesn't want to go up in the fucking Phoenix with a drunken pilot. I know she knows how to use a machine gun. Like, all of these things make for an interesting character who I can say, I know this about this character. I can't say that about Anij. All I can really say is she doesn't know how to swim as you can slow down time.
So
this
one
is
of the
an
things...
episode of TNG. This movie is an episode.
Yeah,
Star
no,
Trek.
not
It's
disagreeing
not
with
a
you at all.
Yeah.
The difference, I think, like with First Contact, I think Patrick Stewart pushed for a romance with Alfre Woodard, and it never went forward because it didn't make sense, and rightfully so, because that
it didn't feel right. Yeah,
but so one of Patrick Stewart's things were coming into Insurrection is like Picard needs to have a romance, and that's kind of where Anij came, a little bit like Picard needs to get some, and for some reason
Picard and
it's not
Sojeff.
That's right. Ivoli.
Yes.
Come on, let's be progressive, guys.
Jeff.
I like how they just crap all over the Baku's pacifist outlook. He's like,
because it is stupid.
We're pacifists. We become just like them if we fight back.
Lock and load.
Yeah, his wolf with a bazooka.
That's the point. That really annoys me, right?
Is this not Predator? Is this not that scene where they're trying to fight down all the drones? It's just, there's Beverly, there's Wolf of the Bazooka. It's that scene from Predator when they're all shooting into the forest for no fucking reason.
It's Predator 2. It's Predator 2 is what it is.
Oh no, Picard spent too long holding his flute. That's pretty good. So that's a problem I have, right? The line, the moment we pick up a weapon, we become one of them. We lose everything we are. Hard cut to that moment. No, not even that. There's even funnier. Where's Anij? Oh, she went back to get Artem. And then Picard gives the other guy, I can't remember what his fucking name is, it's the dark-haired guy with the big eyes, hands him his gun. And the guy's like, I was like, dude, did you not just give up everything you just picked up a weapon?
Yeah, this script needed so many passes to it.
To be fair, doesn't Sojeff say that line?
Yeah.
We pick up the weapon, we become one of them, so...
Yeah, but it's like, at least if you're gonna say, if you want to make the point that Sojeff is like unique in his pacifism, and maybe Anij as well, then maybe have some of they had fucking how many tons of tritium explosives, how many tritium pulse launchers, and all you see them use is like hand phasers, rifles, and one like beanbag bazooka.
Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Riker's in a bath with Troy.
Well, God. I mean, I kind of love that scene. I love the romance of this. Like,
but I never kissed you with a beard before. Yes, you fucking did. You kissed my clone.
She was playing him. She the way she threw it at the kill was like so smug and self-satisfied. She knew what she was doing.
Like that scene where he's very playful. It's like, I need some help, and he's like, he's dancing around the fucking theater, and she's like,
no, even better. What I need, I can't get from Dr. Crusher. Apart from that one time I fucked her as a trill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the real continuity flub there.
That stuff's charming. That stuff's charming, but you realize the problem with directing a movie that you're in, because Riker kind of sidelines himself from the entire main story.
Yeah.
He sort of did the same thing in
Mm-hmm.
First Contact, but it kind of worked there. But he's really on the sidelines for a lot of this movie.
So
There's a reason why people.
He's on the sideline, but this is actually something I want to talk about that I really like. In every TNG episode, you have A story, B story, sometimes A to C story. I love the way they did the two stories here because they had the scene in the armory. Will, Geordi, go back and put a face on what's happening here. They split to do their A story and B story, but they're working toward the same goal. And so I think that part feels very linked, very congruous.
Very cohesive.
Yeah, it's not Picard playing piano with Nella Darren in his room while the Enterprise is being blown to bits or something. They're working toward the same goal, but it's different enough because you have a ship fight versus planet side stuff. It's different, big, huge difference in settings, but it still feels like they're working toward the same thing. I really like the way they did that.
And I do really appreciate Riker getting to show off because one thing I hate about Star Trek, and it happens a lot of time with the main characters, is when they will spontaneously develop a skill or an interest depending on the episode. Like Tom Paris does this a lot.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. All right, bro, whatever.
Yeah. Whereas Riker is established to be this ace shuttle pilot in Chain of Command. I don't think it ever came up before, but then it's called back here where it's he actually does some piloting. I can't remember him ever really doing any intense piloting. But
wrapping up around Shai's point about this feeling like a two-parter episode, you're absolutely right. Yeah, this is the most TV of Star Trek films.
Yeah.
But I think what this sets this apart is this doesn't feel like it's restrained by the restrictions of the two-parters where everything has to be set under the TNG Bible, or everyone can only act a certain way, Troy can't be in a uniform until Jellicoe said so. This feels much more loose, this feels much more open, this feels like the two-parter they wish they'd made, where everyone is friends.
Well, because they have the budget, it's mostly budget.
Because of the budget,
the
everyone's friends, they're working things out, they've got a bit more budget to tell a story they want to tell. Yeah, you're right, this is a two-parter of TNG, but one of the best ones with a lot more freedom for the cast to be the characters that they want to be. And I think that's why the three of us, at least, love it as much as we do, because it is...
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like what this movie gets right is that it doesn't try and shoot for the fences. It doesn't try and tell a story as epic or grand as Nemesis and then fall flat on its face. Because Nemesis tried to be so many things. It tried to be it's the final journey of a generation. It tried to be Data's death. It tried to be the final development of Picard's character. It tried to be so many things, and it failed at almost every one of them. Right? This sets out to be a Star Trek two-parter, and it's silly. It has some really fun moments, and apart from our joking about there not being a single white person in this story about deportation, it's ultimately unoffensive. I don't feel repulsed by any of the scenes like I do in Nemesis or Into Darkness, where it's that is morally offensive to me.
Troy didn't get mentally raped for once, so that was a big step up.
Right. Yeah, congratulations, TNG.
And I feel that
they changed. They make up for it in the next movie, though.
Yeah.
They double, triple down on it. But it's that's what I feel is in this movie's strength, is that it's not offensive. It doesn't try and go for shock value. It doesn't try anything other than to prod you and say, hey, think about this. Think about what you might do with eternal life. Think about the cost of that. Think about the ethical quandaries of it a little bit, and have fun. It doesn't really demand a lot of you. It just it's another go around with the TNG crew, and I feel as a motion picture, that's a hard sell. To say, here's more of the same, that's not something you put on the poster, right? No. But for people like us who just enjoy watching these characters interact, and we enjoy hearing about the Federation and learning about what new races,
a British
it's more for us.
In TNG, they would not have done. But it's an excellent moment to show the comedic value of Worf being the straight man to this absurd situation, and that's what makes it funny. Is him just kind of going, "No, I'm not singing a British star." That's when this kind of works as it's not the perfect TNG film in the way that First Contact And in a way, Generations is a good TNG film for all its flaws. It does pick up the way that a TNG film should be, but it is more. It is just fun, and it is just good to watch. And I think as a hallmarks of general filmmaking, of general not just filmmaking or just something you want to sit and put on the telly and watch, it's good for that. And I think that's yeah. If I want to watch something good with the TNG crew that I'm going to enjoy, Insurrection is damn right it's there.
Yeah, because it's like you think. Oh, sorry, you.
It's funny you said Hallmark, because that's my one big gripe with the movie is every scene with the Baku, except when they're already captured and on the ship. I could be watching the Lifetime channel. It could be a Hallmark movie straight to DVD, and I wouldn't be able to tell a difference. Like if I didn't know the actors. So it's
straight to
I
DVD
blasted
is a
Discoveries.
good term for it, actually. Yeah.
I blasted Discovery so many times for being too saccharine. The Baku stuff was just too saccharine. Like, they are the snowy white lamb. We could pull that back a little bit and dirty them up, do something just to make it a little more interesting because it's very Hallmark made for TV.
Again, because we were talking about how underwritten it is. It's like no one of the Baku ever feels any remorse over driving out their children.
Yeah, they're very
they take them back at the end, but there's no trauma there. Like, why not have Anij be related to like
the healing has begun? It's like what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, there's one. It's a good piece of Star Trek that was to be a movie. That's not necessarily wrong. So I also feel like it's a case of you look at the 4 TNG movies and it's like Generations is a downer in a lot of ways. Like you spend half that runtime dealing with Picard's dead family, and you're like, man, this is a bummer. You're watching Picard cry in his ready room, and it's like, this isn't fun, man. Yeah. First Contact has like the perfect action movie comedy. Body horror, Star Trek ethos balance to make it just eminently watchable. And again, this is just like, for the most part, non-offensive with some really funny bits and some memorable, cool scenes. And then there's Nemesis. But it's like First Contact and Insurrection kind of make up that. Which of the two do you want to watch? Because who really sits down on like a Sunday afternoon and says, "I really want to watch Star Trek Generations"? I don't feel like it's many people. No, you watch the Viridian 3 Saucer Crash. That's what you watch on YouTube.
Parts of Generations. Like, I'll really watch sex scenes from Generations. Like the stellar cartography scene, like just the initial Kirk short film.
The Enterprise B, yeah.
But this Insurrection, for me, is just, it's too light. It's too underdeveloped. In contrast to Star Trek 4, like, Star Trek 4, there's no bad guy in Star Trek 4, so you can afford to go all comedy.
Yeah.
Other than the whalers in Star Trek 4. If you want to call them like
those rat bastards.
I know. But so
I think
it's so
it stems into the idea that Trek can appeal to multiple people, and I think that's not something that's explored until our generation now, where we have different series to appeal to different Treks. And I don't think absolutely that's not what they were thinking about at the time at all. They were not generally trying to diversify their films, but it is an effect that has happened for the consequence of making this film, that it is, if you do want a light-hearted Trek film that you don't have to think about and just want to enjoy seeing your favorite TNG film, people just have fun, you put it on. But if you want something more serious, then I think it's. But at the time, I know people, and speaking of myself as someone that did watch it in the cinema live, just kind of going, what the hell was this for TNG? Like, this is, I was very dismissive.
Well, because you also have to view it in context of the other stuff that was happening in Star Trek at the time, which was like DS9 was wrapping up and Voyager was like deep into Borg space.
And like, after First Contact. First Contact was such a upgrade from Generation. And this had a cool sounding name. And it was very exciting.
And it was Frakes again. You were like, oh shit, it's Frakes again. And it was Frakes going to be good. Yeah.
So you're like, oh, they're going to up the stakes. But it was just very. But like you say, the great thing about this franchise is like there can be something. I think Cairo in chat earlier said that his 2 favorite Star Trek films are Star Trek 4, and then this is his second favorite Star Trek. So there's something for everyone, and that should be the way it is.
So Rick Berman thought that teenagers are going to sit through Artem playing with his little hand
caterpillar buddy,
pet caterpillar buddy, and then at minute 75, in comes the joystick. And like the kids are going to sit through the first hour and a half of that, but then the joystick comes in, and that's when we really pull them in.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, with two boys, I've tried to get into various Marvel, Star Trek, and Star Wars films. Like, they will sit through about 5 minutes of it and go,
Yeah.
I want to go do something else. I'm like, yeah, but you got to wait. No, okay, fine, you go. Like, no.
By the way, a little nitpick. Dougherty's death is way too bloodless. Like,
well, he gets killed by a Photoshop blur effect. It's not exactly
right. Like he gets killed by like what your auntie does to you, like at the holidays, like pinching your cheeks together. Like, oh no, like there should have been a pop. There should have been some blood spray on Ruffo. Something that it was.
I mean, he does have some on his uniform because he goes up to the bridge and like wipes it off, and then he sits down in his plush luxury couch.
Oh, so stupid. You know what it needed? Have you guys seen Mystery Men?
Oh, years ago. I haven't seen it in about 15 years.
So there's a scene where it's a very stupid movie, but I really have a soft spot for it.
That's Ben Stiller, isn't it?
Ben Stiller, but like he I think he plays like the superhero Rage, whose superpowers he gets angry a lot.
Mr. Furious. Mr. Furious.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, I need to watch that movie again. Yeah, so Dangerman knows where I'm going here. The Psychofraculator. So the actual main hero of the thing, Captain Amazing, I believe his name is, just like tied down into the a death trap, and then the actual heroes of the thing, the Mystery Men, manage to accidentally kill him, and he gets like torn inside out and fried to a crisp and ruined. And like, I'm not saying you need to go like that for Doughty, but something in between the two extremes of Photoshop blur effect and Psychofraculator were needed to make that death mean anything. Because you don't even get Picard learning about that. His death, he goes and no one even notices, really.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What if we throw Dougherty onto a giant table with a whirring saw blade at the end, and he just starts slowly sliding toward the saw blade, like.
Wait,
no.
Right,
what
okay. Here, do we see?
What if Raffo gets on a? Yes.
Do we? But
no.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
No. He screams and then he lays there, and Ruoff walks out. He could be in Star Trek 15 or whatever.
Yes, but his face will be like that in Star Trek 15.
You could cast anyone.
He comes back and his face
That's Botox, man.
As the face of Bo.
Hey, Cairo, you can do a lot with like discretion shots and just implying things with like effects, or whatever. You don't have to show it, but like, yeah, no, it's like what you really needed is just like, I don't know, man. Like Raffo just doesn't get. He gets a lot to do, but
he doesn't.
Like Dougherty just gets thrown out of the movie. No one cares.
If Dougherty had been in the brig with his face like that. At the end of the movie. This would be my favorite Star Trek movie.
Oh, that'd be great. No, you know what?
Everyone's staring at him.
Should have gotten on a steamroller and just very slowly approached him while he screamed for him to stop.
Austin Powers.
He's like, what, do I have something on my face? What are you guys looking at?
Everyone just doesn't look at him. Oh, dear.
Do you guys know that Quark was supposed to be in this film?
Yes.
Yes. Did you know that Max Grodenchik was supposed to be in this film?
Didn't know that one.
Rom's actor. He is actually in this film, but only on a cut scene because he's a trill in the background. But yeah, Quark was supposed to be in the.
Do you know what the scene is?
Baku planet.
No, it's not just that. He's meant to be trying to sell timeshares. And then Worf finds him in a fucking swimsuit and pulls him out, and he's like, what are you doing here? And that scene is not available anywhere. They've never released it. I'm super sad because Quark in a swimsuit is hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see pictures of it.
Yeah, Quark in the Rise outfit with the weird side cut out. He has like a weird sort of like very.
Yeah, let me get the picture.
I just watched Sister Act the other day and realized Max Grodenchik is in that too.
Is he?
He plays.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, is he really? Wow.
He's like a limo driver or something. He gets a few lines of dialogue. So
yeah, I'd like to just put it in show chat.
Connection.
All right. I'll bring it up. Give me a minute. Talk about yourselves.
So Idol and Stars. You didn't tell me, where do you rank this in 2-part episodes?
Pretty high.
Yeah, it's not as good as.
Not Best of Both Worlds, Redemption are up there. What else is there? Oh, are we talking about just TNG two-parters?
TNG
Well, yeah,
yeah. You got Times Arrow.
I like it more than Times Arrow.
Times Arrow's
has
dead
no
I
last
really like
for me.
Times Arrow. I think it's just.
I like Times Arrow.
I really like Times
It has
Arrow.
no direction. Has no direction.
You know what this movie? You know what this movie would have been good as season 2 of Picard. Like I would have seen Insurrection as
You
season
know
2
what?
of Picard, where he has to go back and collect,
I can
really
see
commit
that.
to the Magnificent Seven
hang on.
format, where he has to go back and collect the bridge crew to go defend some
There you go.
some
Here's Quark in
alien race.
I think I found a better picture than that. Hang on, I'll find another one. Hang on.
What is this? Oh,
Yeah, no, that's the best quality. But yeah, that's Spork there in his really weird 24th century cut-out swimsuit, and Worf is there without his I guess he must have just pulled him out of a house or whatever. But yeah, that's a real thing. We've never seen the actual full scene. I'm sad because that's Quark content we never got.
That's amazing.
Here we go. Hang on, I got another one.
I like him more than Gambit. Gambit, I think, is also kind of lame and directionless.
You gonna import? No, you're not gonna import. We're gonna have to convert a file live.
Yeah, but I do love Robin Curtis, so that redeems a lot of that for me.
Idle, have I been visible throughout this entire thing, or have I been pushed off
hang
the
on,
side?
I'm on the wrong. Oh wait, what's going on? No, I've hidden you.
Dude,
somehow.
everyone's staring at Quark's
There
face
you are.
anyways.
Sorry, yeah, you are.
How long has that been like that?
About 5 seconds. Not long.
The whole time.
Okay. Anyway,
I would have been nice.
The Moneymaker stars. The Moneymaker.
Actually, yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to convert a file here so you can see it.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
think this is
This is the
TNG
Quark I want you to
two-parters.
see. Look at that with the middle cut out. If you can see,
Yeah,
see
there
the screen.
you go.
Oh,
That
yeah.
Jake Sisko fashion.
Yeah, bus seats galore.
Amazing.
Man, incredible.
Anyway.
I want that in timelines, but enough about that. Yeah, I like Insurrection. I feel like I'd rank it definitely in the top half. I feel like the lack of drama and the low stakes.
It's better than Nemesis. I
Way
would
better than
absolutely say it's better than
Nemesis. I actively refuse to watch.
You could
Such
probably
a low bar.
you could say it's on par with Generations. You could say that halfway there, and then with First Contact at the top. If we're just talking about
It's
You know what? I'm gonna say something here. The time I watched Nemesis for this show is gonna be the first time I'll see Nemesis in years.
wow,
Because I just don't enjoy it.
I watched it fairly recently on holiday because I went through the DVD library of the place I was staying, and they had either Star Trek Into Darkness or Nemesis, and I was like, that wasn't. They had shitloads of other films, but of Star Trek films, that's all they had. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch Nemesis, and yeah.
Yeah,
You should have
I-
just beaten yourself in the head with a hammer.
There you go. I watched it last year to make that Shinzon puppet for a secret Star Trek Secret Santa.
Yes. Oh, we've not seen
yeah.
that yet. We need to get her back on for that. I think it's a good wrap-up spot. I think that will do us for this week.
All right. Well, you know what? We have to ask because we've been doing these in ranking of all the movies you've done so far.
shit.
So obviously this is below First Contact, but Idle, Shy, Auto, better or worse than Generations?
No. You have
Insurrection?
to give us how many X out of what? Come on.
Oh well, that's not usually the format for this.
I know.
How many
but let's do it
firm-
anyway.
How many firm breasts out of 10 would you give Star Trek Insurrection? They're going to pull our sponsorship if we go through with this, by the way.
We have a sponsorship.
All right, how many Gorches out of 10? That's family friendly.
Nah, too obvious. Yeah, how many Captain's Yacht called Cousteau out of 10 would you give this Insurrection?
What?
The Captain's Yacht is called the Cousteau.
It is called the Cousteau, but that's not what. We didn't see the Cousteau in this film, did we?
No, I'm pretty sure that's the Cousteau.
What that they intercept data with?
The one that falls out of at the bottom of the ship. That's the Captain's Yacht, the Cousteau.
All right, how many bleeding Sona foreheads out of 10 would you
There
give
we
this?
go. That's the one.
There you go. All right,
There it
all right.
is.
I stole your gimmick, Stars.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm fine with it. I'd give it 7 bleeding sonar heads out of 10.
I'd give it a 7 as well. I'd say that's up there.
Yeah. What about you, Shy?
I give it 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Six.
No, I'm not
That would be
surprised.
6
That's
in
fine.
general. Yeah. It's just too Star Trek light for me, but great that people like it.
I'd give it an 8.
well-
I like it.
Oh, there you go. That's what I want. Okay, so a side question then. Favorite scene? Because I feel like for most people it's probably British Tar, But for me, I really just enjoy the Riker maneuver sequence. I really enjoy Riker maneuver.
I like the statistics. I like the how many lives would it take Admiral. I love that scene. That's good.
It's a tie between that one and the Geordi Vision one for me. Geordi Vision.
Yeah. I like the scene with Donna Murphy talking to Picard, where she says, "I wonder if you know how much trust you engender in people."
Yeah.
Yeah. For someone so young. I think it's I like that.
And hits my little ASMR triggers.
Well, yeah, because it's Patrick Stewart and Donna Murphy just talking about time and aging and trust.
Yeah. You can hear her rustling the small hairs on the top of his head.
Right.
Tingles down my
spine. You know, it's been years since I've seen a bald man. I should warn you, I've always found old women attractive.
So terrible. So bad.
Poor Gates McFadden when she heard that. Just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I kind of want to...
chopped liver.
I kind of want to see a Mike Myers parody of this movie now. Like, with him as Picard. I think that would...
I think that has some mileage, actually.
That's Dr. Evil. That's Dr. Evil in Goldmember. They've already done it.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, okay. We've waxed lyrical for long enough on this. Thank you, Auto Shite Stars, for joining us.
Was this stream longer than the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, easily.
Absolutely. We always do things longer than anyone else. We'll be back with another Star Trek show very soon. Keep an eye on our events page on our Discord. Next week, it's me and Stars, and we are wrapping up Star Trek Legacy.
Yes.
We are finally going to be finishing that, and we will be putting up a vote up to decide what is the next game we are going to tackle. So watch out for that soon. For anyone that's interested, sorry, Otto, go on.
Go check out the Trek that we recently recorded.
Exactly what I was just going to say.
We are going to be doing all 1,000 plus episodes of Star Trek eventually. Eventually.
Yeah, no, we have just started. I mentioned this at the start of the show. We are doing it's called the Star Trek Trek. More treks than you can handle. Please go and see it. It's on our YouTube panel. We've started with the Cage.
I said it wrong. It's the Star Trek Trek.
The Trek. Well, we've started it. We start with the Cage. We're going to go through all the pilots. We're going to go through it and then let our subs handle the rest. And if you are a subscriber to this channel and you are linked with our Discord, you get a bonus episode where you get to watch us watching along with the episodes that we review.
So, Cairo, if we're doing TOS in airing or production order, that will depend on if TOS is chosen as what we do for the option, because we're basically going to do all the pilots to see what you guys like more, because obviously we have a different mix of what series we like the most, of what characters we like the most.
I mean, there are...
And it's like, if everyone decides we'll do DS9, then we'll go DS9. If we end up going TOS, then we'll probably end up doing it in production order, I feel like, maybe.
Animated series only, actually.
Ooh, boy.
The Jihad.
That's the secret season 4, I think.
Yeah. The Star Trek Trek is when we watch ourselves talking about it.
But we watch ourselves through the little viewer they had in Insurrection where they were looking at the people in isolation suits.
Yeah.
So, yes, 7 of 1. It does cost to subscribe on Twitch, but all the profits go to our next charity stream. We've done a couple of them so far. And those have been a smashing success.
Absolutely. And best thing, it is September, so subs are cheap for the month of September. So if the time to get on, the time is now. The other thing is, like, there are so many podcasts out there that do Star Trek in order. We all kind of felt like we need to do something different. So we're going to do the pilots, and then we're going to let our subs take us where we need to go. So yes, it is paywall. It's about damn time we did some charity-led paywall content. Come on, everyone knows. And on the record, every bit of profit we make from this absolutely does go to charities. We've got the FAQ.
Goes to Idle's beer cabinet. Let's be honest.
Just so you know, Cranky, that paywall is for your protection.
That's timelines after dark. You don't want to see what goes on there.
Ooh la la, yes. We take our shirts off and we go for the real deal. We
talk about strong feminine urges.
Basically, we talk about Sub Rosa 1,000 times until... All right, okay. From all of us, thank you. We'll see you next time. From myself, from everyone. Ta-ra!